Welcome to the barbershop. Today I have with me an amazing guest, someone who I enjoy spending time with, someone I've worked with at Bombay Shaving Company. Introducing Chirag Taneja, the founder and CEO of Go-Kwik. Chirag, welcome to the barbershop.
Thanks, Shantanu. अब लाइफ में जिसने टॉप कराओ ना, उसके लिए इवन इन अ स्मॉल एक्सपेरिमेंट फेल होना बड़ा मुश्किल है. आई एम यूज्ड टू लाइक दैट ना, कि मेरे को फेल होना अच्छा नहीं लगता. एंड देन यू नो आई लाइक टू पुट दिस एज पेसिमिस्ट साउंड राइट, ऑप्टिमिस्ट मेक मनी.
That is so true.
सब लोग कहेंगे ना करने के तो कोई पैसे ही नहीं है ना, कुछ करके दिखाने के पैसे, ना बोलने के तो फिर आप और मैं बात कर रहे हैं ना. जो भी डेविल्स एडवोकेट है वो 0 to 1 टीम में होना ही नहीं. हम कैश ऑन डिलीवरी बिजनेस करते हैं, राइट, विच इज अनसेक्सी. कोई नहीं करता है, ग्लोबली होता नहीं है, लेकिन इंडिया स्पेसिफिक प्रॉब्लम है, नीड्स टू बी सॉल्व. इट्स अननेसेसरी डेविल. आपको एक कंपनी में पैसे डालने हैं, ग्रेट फाउंडर, ग्रेट प्रोडक्ट, ग्रेट मार्केट, किस में डालोगे?
Welcome to the barbershop. Today I have with me an amazing guest, someone who I enjoy spending time with, someone I've worked with at Bombay Shaving Company, someone who as a founder I tremendously respect, and someone who teaches me a lot every time I meet him. Introducing Chirag Taneja, the founder and CEO of GoKwik. Chirag, welcome to the barbershop.
थैंक्स शांतनु.
एक बताओ, आपने शैंकी का एपिसोड देखा क्या?
यार शैंकी, आई एडमायर दैट गाय फॉर मेनी रीजंस. मेरे फ़ोन में ना उसका नाम सेव्ड है फूफा जी.
Why फूफा जी?
ही इज़ द फूफा जी ऑफ, हमें याद है कि एट बॉम्बे शेविंग कंपनी वी ऑर्गेनाइज दिस ऑफ साइट. ही वॉज द फूफा वाला. हाँ, तो फूफा जी के पास सब जाते हैं ना कंप्लेंट करने के लिए, एंड ही वॉज द गाय.
अभी यार परसों वी वर डूइंग अ FY24 प्लानिंग सेशन. तो मैंने कुछ पूछ लिया, आई डोंट रिमेंबर व्हाट इट वाज, बट आई वाज लाइक थैंक यू, बट व्हाट अबाउट दिस. भाई 3-4 दिन से यही समझा रहा हूँ आपको, आप सुनते नहीं हो. जब मैं समझाता हूँ तो आप फ़ोन पे रहते हो, आप सुनते नहीं हो, आप सुन लो शांति से. लाइक चलो ठीक है, सॉरी. इट्स वेरी, बट इट्स नॉट ऑफेंसिव और डिमीनिंग और डिसरिस्पेक्टफुल. इन फैक्ट इट इज एक्चुअली वेरी endearing because you know that the person is always putting the company first.
एंड उसका ओनरशिप आई थिंक प्रॉब्ली इज द एपिटोम ऑफ ओनरशिप,
है ना?
बहुत हाई ओनरशिप है यार बंदे में, मतलब डिलीवरिंग रिजल्ट्स. और आई लाइक टू कॉल दिस एज कि ही इज ऑल्सो वन ऑफ दोज पर्सनस हु पुट इन अ डार्क रूम, ही विल बिलीव कि आई विल विन.
Amazing. Yeah, वही है, मतलब people double his age etc. But I noticed that when Shanky enters the situation, जब वो situation में enter करता है, the people dynamics of that situation drastically change and people gravitate towards him. I'm still unable to figure out why. He has an amazing sense of humor and he's a very hardworking guy and he's a likable human being. But I don't think that is enough. A lot of people have that. But there is something about him. Maybe it's consistency of these many things. Or maybe he's just super reliable. Like I feel Shanky is one of those people who, अगर आप उसको बोल दो कि यार, can you help me with X? You can be assured कि X will get done. So I don't know whether it's just like pure reliability.
मल्टीपल थिंग्स हैं. I think, of course, he's reliable, he's result oriented, and I know a lot of people who are like that. But I think, in my view, taking or being okay with ambiguity is a hard one.
Correct.
Right? वो usually, you know, founders, entrepreneurs absorb all ambiguity.
Correct.
वो कर लेता है. This is a hard trait ना.
Correct.
ये मुझे तो we can debate over this कि ये coachable है या नहीं है. This is a hard one.
Dealing with ambiguity, right?
Dealing.
Is it about building courage? कि ambiguity का what does it come down to? It comes down to taking business decisions with limited information. Right? You can take those decisions when you have the courage to take them. Is it a courage proxy or is it a high amount of gut? कि यार instinct is always solid. मतलब जो आदमी कैट में तुक्के मार के more often than not सही होता है ना, I feel that is skill. It may be a subconscious one, but it's a skill. पता नहीं क्या skill है वो.
पर लाइफ में जिसने टॉप कराओ ना, उसके लिए इवन इन अ स्मॉल एक्सपेरिमेंट फेल होना बड़ा मुश्किल है. आई एम यूज्ड टू लाइक दैट ना, कि मेरे को फेल होना अच्छा नहीं लगता. इट्स नॉट अबाउट दैट कि ये फेल हो रहा है और या छोटी है. इट्स द लॉस टू द फेलियर इज छोटा. दैट्स नॉट द डील. आई एम नॉट यूज्ड टू फेलियर. दैट्स व्हाई इट्स इम्पॉर्टेंट टू फेल अर्ली इन लाइफ. कि यू नो ये टॉपर वाला जो फिनोमिना है, वो व्हेन यू गेट डाउन टू एग्जीक्यूशन इन लाइफ, तो या तो यू गेट टू, यू नो, इफ़ यू आर लाइक सुपर ग्रेट, यू विल कंटिन्यू टू मेक गुड डिसीजंस एक्सेट्रा. बट जहाँ पे भी गट वाले कॉल्स हैं एक्सेट्रा, आइदर यू आर बॉर्न जीनियस, तो यू नो वट एवर यू टच इज गोल्ड, बट इफ़ यू आर नॉट, एंड आई थिंक वो लोग काफ़ी सही कर लेते हैं कि इन टर्म्स ऑफ डिसीजन मेकिंग, इन टर्म्स ऑफ शोइंग करेज, दे डोंट गेट फ्लस्टर्ड बाय ऑल दिस कि यार फेल होगा तो क्या हुआ, चलते हैं, करते हैं, कर लेते हैं, देखते हैं. बट अदरवाइज आई हैव सीन की पीपल, एंड यू नो इफ़ यू टेक पीपल फ्रॉम इस्टेब्लिश कंपनी, जैसे हमारे स्टार्टअप्स में लाया था ना यार, इस्टेब्लिश कंपनी से लोग लेंगे तो क्या होगा, राइट. द डील विद इज कि दे आर यूज टू अ वर्क, कॉर्पोरेट कल्चर इज रिवॉर्डेड फॉर नॉट फेलिंग. Or I like to put this as, there are companies where you are paid to walk in line, and there are startups where you are paid to break lines. बहुत ही अलग है दोनों, बहुत ही अलग है. कि paid to walk in line is कि गलती नहीं होनी चाहिए, गलती होगी तो you are out. और this side is कि गलती ही करनी है. And in our stage, in startups are mostly about hyper growth. तो growth हो रही है तो growth will come at certain cost. It is not that it will not come at certain cost. तो उसके लिए यू नीड पीपल विद कन्विक्शन, और यू नो एटलीस्ट दे शुड ट्राई. अब वो ठीक है, वी कैन डिबेट ऑन दिस कि 1 वे डोर है, 2 वे डोर है, ऐसा तो नहीं है कि कंपनी उड़ा देंगे कि ऐसा कुछ जैसे. हाँ, तो दैट्स वेयर यू जज पीपल ऑन कि जजमेंट कहाँ पर यूज़ करनी है, हाई फ्रिक्शन एरियाज कौन से. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल हाई फ्रिक्शन एरियाज में एट GoKwik यू हैव टू अर्न ट्रस्ट. इन नॉर्मल केसेस बाय डिफॉल्ट ट्रस्ट इज देयर. So that's how at least I differentiate कि high friction areas में you earn trust.
So it is on the person to earn trust in high friction area and then go ahead and
yes, you have to earn the trust कि आप इस पे judgment ले सकते हो.
Correct.
दूसरे वाले में by default है, I think it's okay because I know कि अगर गिर भी जाओगे तो कुछ नहीं होगा.
I mean, तो वही है, मतलब what I realize is building a company from scratch and running a large business. They are two very different skill sets, and both are not. One is not easier than the other. They are difficult in their own ways.
Yes.
Running a large company, I with Rahul Chaudhary was talking about this. बोलता था कि हम लोग बोलते थे कि यार, हम लोग भी बोलते थे कि यार ये बड़ी कंपनी है, कितने स्लो है, 2 साल लगते प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च करने के लिए, ये है वो. But what you realize eventually, they do one thing and they do that one thing
really well.
Efficient. The efficiency machine. Large, sustainable cash machines are run on efficiency. Startups work on growth, which comes, like you said, with inbuilt inefficiency.
मल्टीपल चीज़ें बोल सकता हूँ इस पर तो कि इमेजिन कि एज कंपनीज बिकम लार्ज इन नंबर ऑफ पीपल, व्हाट इज़ द थिंग एटलीस्ट फाउंडर स्टार्ट टू वरी अबाउट. अब अलाइनमेंट करनी है.
करेक्ट.
मुश्किल से आप अलाइनमेंट लाते हो, विच इज़ कि आप ऐसे जाना है.
करेक्ट.
एंड देन यू आर सेइंग कि, and that is what large companies do really well.
Correct.
They align people really well. They will do a AOP, they will do a sales conference, everyone is aligned, this is the number which you have to do, AOP is fixed, etc. And now suddenly in a year something changes, ChatGPT comes in.
Correct.
Now you have to move.
Correct.
They can't move, no? Because you have aligned a 10,000 people odd company to a mission.
Correct.
Now that mission, because of some macro or something disruptive, has changed.
Correct.
लग जाती है.
Correct.
Similarly, you know, at least I read this, I think somewhere, pioneer, scaler, factory owner.
Okay.
Three ways.
Pioneer, scaler, factory owner. Okay.
तीनों अलग हैं.
Okay.
Pioneer वाले हैं 0 to 1, उनको तोड़ने में मज़ा आता है, उनको डर नहीं लगता है.
Correct.
तो उनको तो बस यही करना है.
Correct.
So वो एक अलग जीन्स है. स्केलर वाले अलग हैं.
Scaler is 1 to 10, 10 to 100.
1 to 10. फैक्ट्री ओनर वाले अलग है, जहाँ पे उनको यूटिलिटी बना देना है. Product has become a utility now. And the good part is, if you realize that utility can then feed to the pioneer. So that's how at least I start to visualize. Or although of course I am running a 2-year-old company, utility बनाने में तो बहुत दूर है भी अब.
But good to have that North Star, right?
हाँ, तो yeah, at least that's how we should be thinking. Like at Bombay Shaving Company also we used to debate कि यार how will we make this utility that everyone uses. That is what every founder would want. And I have realized that कि वो होता है ना, आई थिंक आई रिमेंबर वी यूज टू डिबेट दिस कि ये विटामिन है या पेन किलर है, बट विटामिन ऑल्सो ओवर टाइम बिकम पेन किलर्स. राइट, थिंक अबाउट इट. आई पुट इट दिस टू माई टीम, ब्रिजेस वर्सेज फ्लाईओवर्स. ब्रिजेस आर मेड कि जब कुछ नहीं था ना, आपको इधर से इधर जाना है, लोग शायद बोट लेके जा रहे हैं, कुछ कर रहे हैं, तो आपने ब्रिज बनाया, दैट्स लाइक मोर पेन किलर. फ्लाईओवर इज विटामिन कि ब्लॉकेज होने लग गई, अब आपको फास्टर वे है. But over time, we have seen Vasant Kunj wala flyover becomes a pain. So it becomes a painkiller. Then you need overtop, but it takes time. So similarly, our business has also become utility over time. It starts probably as a faster way of going around it, smoother, takes less time, convenient, etc. But over time, when everyone starts to use it, then everyone realizes that yahi sabse badhiya. Who uses this Agra non-expressway now? Koi nahi dikhta. So world moves to the new direction.
But one thing which I have always felt is that the transition from pioneer to scaler to factory owner is a one the head of the organization has to have. As the organization traverses these stages. Like, अब बॉम्बे शेविंग कंपनी को देख लो, जो अपन ने 0 से 50 करोड़ तक किया था, वो तो पायनियर बिजनेस कि आपको कैटेगरी तोड़ना है, कुछ अलग करना है, प्राइस पे तोड़ना है, गिफ्टिंग बनाना है, एक्सेट्रा। 50 से 200 300 करोड़ का जो जर्नी है वो स्किलर वाला जर्नी था, राइट? चैनल PMF लेके आओ, असॉर्टमेंट करो, फोकस ऑन SKU, करेक्ट, मेक द ब्रांड कॉन्स्टेंट। अब फैक्ट्री ओनर वाला जो है 300 से 1500 करोड़ का जो जर्नी होगा, फॉर एग्जाम्पल when we become as big as direct, it's one that, but टीम तो वही है. So how does mindset change in your view? Like, do you think it changes, or do you think things have to change? Do you think it takes time? How does that work?
I still have to figure out an answer, but I think ये तो soul searching journey है मेरे हिसाब से. Even for founders and even for teammates, I think some people are able to do it. I think it's one about, I think probably first accepting. I think 2-3 चीज़ें हैं probably इसमें कि first accepting that the organization is moving ahead. Either you decide that you want to be on this side, you have figured out that this is my strength, or you move to that side, right? Which will require some amount of change in your skills. Because in 0 to 1, for example, people doesn't matter. You know, you would want, by structure, you would want that to be lean. You don't want alignment to become an issue. 4 लोग हैं, decision लेंगे, आगे बढ़ेंगे. कुछ नहीं होता ना, fail तो नहीं है. By default fail होना है. 0 to 1 में by default fail होना है. कुछ चल गया तो अच्छी बात है. So then you don't want lot of thinkers to be there.
That's so true.
Right? Lot of thinkers आ गए, सब दिमाग लगाएंगे. And then, you know, I like to put this as pessimist sound right, optimist make money. तो
that is so true.
सब लोग कहेंगे ना करने के तो कोई पैसे ही नहीं है ना. स्टार्टअप्स में कुछ करके दिखाने के पैसे हैं. ना बोलने के तो फिर आप और मैं बात कर रहे हैं ना. फिर यही करते हैं. तो
pessimist sound right is so true. It's actually, you sound smart when you're contrarian.
Correct.
So it's very tempting to do that, and you're right.
तो जो भी devil's advocate है वो 0 to 1 टीम में होना ही नहीं चाहिए. Because by nature their job is something else.
Correct.
By nature they will not agree to something and then disagree and commit. वो Amazon ने हमें सिखा दिया disagree and commit.
Correct.
It's so hard यार.
Very difficult यार.
यार वो बोलना बहुत आसान है यार. Disagree and commit is too hard यार. मतलब मेरे लिए भी hard है.
अंदर रह जाता है ना.
हाँ वो अंदर रह जाता है और फिर then you come down to मैंने तो बोला था. I told you so. Which itself is wrong.
Is wrong, yeah. Because that's not really.
हाँ तो किसी एक की conviction है चला दो यार उसके बेसिस पे. टूटेगा देखेंगे. But that's how it works.
मैं ये सोचता हूँ कि, and I'm talking more from a brand standpoint. मैं देखता हूँ कि brand बनने में time लगता है. तो pioneer to scaler to factory owner, 0 to 1, 1 to 10, 10 to 100 जो journeys है, वो transitions are also slower. That day I was talking to Akash Chaudhary of Akash Education. क्या story है उनका? I really want to get him into the BarberShop, right? So Akash ran the business, I think from the mid 2000s, but his father started in the 80s. JC Chaudhary ji. And he was a teacher. He built the graduate. And 1-bedroom apartment था, 2-bedroom apartment था, where he would teach tuitions. 4 बच्चे, 5 बच्चे, 6 बच्चे, 8 बच्चे, 10 बच्चे, ऐसे करके ट्यूशन चला रहे थे. तब उनके खुद के बच्चे had to be locked inside the room कि बाहर आके डिस्टर्ब नहीं करना. That's the pioneer, right? But there are thousands and millions of tuition classes in India which are run inside the house. What he then जो scaler वाला couple of decisions हुआ ना कि अब हम लोग जाके classroom का कुछ setup लेने हैं. Because 1-2 बच्चे आ गए जो CBSE में got I think first in Delhi or something. Then he got this thing. Then he went beyond, had developing a reputation as a teacher. Went to 1 setup, then 2 setup, then franchisee operations चालू. But वो जो period था ना वो 10, 15, 20, 30 सालों का था वो.
Correct. So then it's easier. Probably easier. हमने नहीं करा है.
You have time to do it. आज के लिए entrepreneurs are forced by venture capital or by their own ambitions to say कि 30 साल तो लगाने नहीं कंपनी में. 10 साल में जी है बहुत कुछ.
I think एक और one more thing, you know, around this. I think when we transition from this pioneer to scaler, in pioneer stage na, because you are very hands on, you do most of the things on your own, you take decisions on your own, and that's how it's supposed to be.
Correct.
When you move to the other stage, it changes. Then you have to get into the other mode ki main hi chaudhary nahi hu room mein. And possibly even I would go to the other extreme that I have to get people who are better than me.
Correct. That has to happen.
Which is a difficult one for people who are in 0 to 1. Na? They are used to their gut feelings.
Correct. And
So then that transition is a difficult one. कि you get someone smart also, but then view तो मेरा ही चलना है. तो फिर वो बोलता है यार फिर मेरे को क्यों लाए हो?
correct.
That's where it starts. So I think, and it's a hard one also, that when you, maybe I will say that probably I was 10 years younger than what I am today. तो मैं भी नहीं कर पाता सर. मैं भी अभी ट्राई करता हूँ, ऐसा नहीं कि मैं कर लेता हूँ, but it's a hard one. Wherein you say कि I will get the best opinion from the room, I will decide. But I am not the best decision, my view is not the best decision.
Correct.
Which वो transition होने में बहुत time लग जाता है यार. तो and especially what you were saying कि if your startup is growing very fast,
Correct.
तो 6 महीने में 9 महीने में आपको ये ट्रांजिशन करना है. तो आपको पता नहीं लगता है. दिस इज नॉट समथिंग कि आसमान में लिखा हुआ आ जाएगा कि आपकी गाड़ी अब 0 to 1 से 1 to N में आ गई.
Correct.
PMF हो चुका है.
Correct.
तो वो चेंज हो जाता है. Suddenly you are operating the same mode, but the mode has to change. You have to get more people. It starts to break.
I completely agree. Then, and you're not used to devil's advocate. You're not used to people.
But ये तो, frankly, this I've learned from you. Keep trusting others, investing in people. I think that's one, probably I would give it to you. Ki I also didn't have the appreciation of that by Bombay Shaving Company era. So, a lot of what I do at GoKwik, I think credit is to Bombay Shaving Company.
Yeah, you're very kind. But coming to that, right, I think you and I thank our common friend Revant a lot for, I think, fundamentally changing the course of the company from 0 to 1 to 1 to 10 when you joined the company. Because both you and Deepak were introduced to me by the Revant. Do you know this?
Oh, wow, yeah.
You, of course, but Ankush, who is Revant's very close friend from Fasos, Deepak and Ankush are best friends from campus.
And they were working.
So many people think that Deepak joined the company because Colgate investment. Because Deepak joined the company 2 months after the Colgate investment. So it's a natural thing to believe. In fact, it had nothing to do with Colgate. So Ankush and I, in fact, I want to bring Ankush into the company. And for Ankush was very happy at Fasos, and he said, "नहीं, मैं Indonesia जा रहा हूँ, मेरे को वहाँ का धंधा चालू करना है, etc." And then Ankush said कि यार मेरा एक दोस्त है, तो उससे बात करो. अभी चाइना से वापस आया Colgate में, but he's amazing. I said ठीक है. I was not super excited with just this कि चाइना से वापस आया Colgate में. I said यार एक तो investor का आदमी है, I'm not sure, you know, it'll weird, etc. I met Deepak, who was amazing, and Revant said, and Revant told me this. Now is the time. At that time, I was having, I think, 11 or 12 direct reports. Ritika is in the room. I think Ritika used to work with me with institutional, all the channels, content, marketing, product, NPD, everyone reported to me. And Revant recognized that Shantanu, you are better at strategic thinking, managing org, fundraising, etc. You need people better than you at this because you are not doing justice to the company for 1 to 10 journey. Recognizing that you are not good at something requires, I think, and maybe at that time age also helped because I was much younger, did not have me ego, etc. So I could listen to someone like Revant, accept what he's saying at face value. And that's our conversation, how it happened. And I must thank you for taking a company that was doing what? 80, 90 lakhs a month? 70 lakhs a month? Something like that? So yeah, I don't know what one, like some sub-crore number. And you taught us, and you taught me specifically, how to think growth. You know, you should now step back and think about how do we take this? How do we get 1 lakh units a month? I remember Beard Oil was one of our SKUs that we did a lot of this, kind of growth analytics and growth pushes on. A lot of that DNA was passed on to Sugandha and then went to the marketing team. And a lot of that is kind of what Varun runs today, and DNA still is there of the 1 to 10 journey that you kind of create. So I'm very grateful for just the push in the right direction, the mentorship on how to think. But talk about your Bombay Shaving Company and, you know, like what was that journey like for you? It was a short one. I think it was 6 to 8 quarters. I think in 1.5 years, 1.5 to 2 years.
almost 2 years above.
Yeah.
I joined 2017, left August 2020.
Wow.
Yeah. And frankly, had no plans as such.
Huh.
It just came that the world was changing.
It was that. It seemed shorter to me. Like
2017, I sold my company. 2017 and or 18, I think I started.
Is it?
Yeah. And
I remember 2 years. I remember 2 2.5, 2 years and 2.5 years. Yeah.
And so I think first to our friend Revant, I think I am so privileged to, have him on my side in not only professionally but personally also. We go well as a family together.
You were the same age. You were in Yes Bank.
Yeah, so we know each other for since 2009. We have always thought about that we are going to do one day one business together, but stars are not aligned.
Yeah.
But we do, talk about business stuff a lot. And I think one thing, if I would say, is that any Indian startup would benefit if he's an angel in the company. I think his business skills, first principles are pretty good. And maybe because, he has also done variety of things. A multidisciplinary approach again. He's been a VC at Kalari. He has been a founder at Fasos.
Correct.
And then prior to that, a banker. But he's also very entrepreneurial.
Even Fasos also CMO था, CFO था, नया ब्रांड बनाया, सब कुछ गया होता है वहाँ पे.
तो वो चार्ली मुंगर वाला है ना, मल्टीडिसिप्लिनरी अप्रोच से ही आता है कि ही इज एबल टू थिंक कि यार मैं स्टोरी क्या बोलूँगा, फिर इज एबल टू डू फाइनेंस ऑल्सो. लोग बोल रहे हैं यार ये तो नहीं हो पाएगा, बट दैट्स व्हाट वी ऑल डू ना. वी आर एबल टू डू साइकोलॉजी ऑल्सो, वी आर एबल टू डू दिस ऑल्सो. तो एंड दैट इज वाई पीपल आस्क अस कि यार ये आइडिया कहाँ से आ गया आपको. मैंने कहा मेरे पास प्ले बुक नहीं है दोस्त, बट you need to leave me with an idea. I will sleep over it. Possibly I'll come up with something. And I think Revant does it really well. And I think he's very helpful also in terms of, not only to when I was starting out or when I was at Bombay Shaving Company or even, prior to that, my first venture, Ketchupp also. He's been helpful throughout. And he was also building the muscle. So we both used to learn from each other. I think my sense is his natural flair is this only. That he's a good operator, likes to angel invest, likes to learn and invest for not only making money but also seeking that how is this going to play out, which is very fascinating. If you start to put it like a chess game na, ki thinking in bets कि क्या होगा, will this company run, not run. He will take a contra bet and say मैं इसलिए पैसे डाल रहा हूँ, मुझे लगता है नहीं चलेगी, देखते क्या होता है. But I want to keep a track. Right, sometimes I know a lot of my friends also do it, that they will feel कि यार ये stock नहीं चलने वाला है in a stock market, but then they will say कि यार track कैसे रखेंगे, तो they'll put 10 shares, देखते हैं नहीं चलने वाला है, देखते हैं एक साल बाद देखेंगे क्या हमारी judgment सही है या market our judgment was wrong. So he'll also, my sense is, I have not spoken to him about this, but I think I also like to do it like that way. I think he also
but he's one of those people, Chirag, and I agree with you completely, where his universally consistent feedback on the guy is that guy is always available to help. And with fully कि आपकी नहीं help करेगा वो, अपने लिए कुछ नहीं करता है वो. He will absolutely go down कि चिराग आपको ना इसकी वजह से मैं I think this is the right thing. Let me do these 3-4 things for you. This is my advice. And he follow up 2-3 days later. फिर से call करेगा ये हुआ क्या. And it's amazing how much time he makes.
पता नहीं कैसे निकालता है वो.
Dude, I owe him so much for the period from 2016 to 2018 until you were with the company. I think once you and Deepak joined, I think he also was, thinking of starting up.
Yeah.
And he had to get
went to Kalari.
And left Kalari kind of bit. But while he was on the Bombay Shaving Company board, as the angel representative, he was extraordinarily helpful. I remember calling him up at 2 in the morning. He was fundamentally the most influential person outside the company and inside the company.
And he will have your interest.
Fully. Shantanu, यार मेरे को लगता है कि this is what you need to do as a founder. This is how you protect yourself.
He will get it कि founder emotional है इस बात पे, mistrust वाली बात नहीं करते हैं. We keep debating about this, that let's play long term games with long term people. क्या यार नहीं, हम जब बोल रहे हैं हम 10 साल के लिए कंपनी बना रहे हैं तो यार 10 साल के लिए बना रहे हैं ना, फिर then let's believe in the law of compounding. So I think on your point that he makes time, पता नहीं वो कैसे निकालता है. He possibly has 96 hours in a day. मतलब ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता कि मैं उसको कुछ मैसेज भेजूँ और 2 घंटे में रिप्लाई ना आए. 2 घंटे भी शायद ज़्यादा बोल रहा हूँ.
Seriously, no?
तो
I suck at it, man.
Country needs more people like him.
I confirm it. Man, he's an incredibly helpful person. But I remember him telling me, yeah, Chirag is a guy we should talk. I don't know how he thought that we will. We had met once in some Kwan event or Fireside event, etc. So we would kind of spend some time over alcohol, but not a lot. I think at that day we were running Ketchupp. Bombay Shaving Company was very initial days. We tried to do something together also.
हाँ, correct.
कुछ तो flight पे कुछ Indigo में कुछ देने वाले थे साथ में. कुछ तो
हाँ, we tried doing something when I was running Ketchupp, and I think it was an interesting time कि of course it matched the skills what you were looking for. But I think I was also going through a transition in my life where my father passed away in 2017. I had sold the company, and that time also, and I was, once a startup bug has bitten you, then you are always कि यार एक और company बनाते हैं. So I was in that phase, and then he only advised me कि चिराग अभी नहीं करना है, थोड़ा ठंडा ले.
क्यों? Why did he say that?
He said कि यार अभी 3-3.5 साल मरवा के आया है, थोड़ा सा get on at least a little more stable ship, and then take it from there. Take your time, फिर depending on if you enjoy not enjoy, we'll figure out. But at least that was his advice. कि यार emotionally, you got to be with your family, with your sister. वो करना अभी क्यों करना है? So I think, and possibly if I reflect on it, I think it was a very good advice.
It worked out so well for you and for me. Yeah. He had 2 friends in mind. You obviously, he knew for a lot longer. But I remember him telling me clearly, that Chirag is a growth machine. You need it. So you let him come in and break what he has to break. You stay away. He said, but don't get addicted to that machine. Because he's an entrepreneur at heart. And the entrepreneurial itch, one day or the other, is going to come back. So, be prepared and enjoy the ride. And I distinctly remember how true his entire thesis was. Because I think we satisfied your conditions of being a young company, startup, where you had a completely kind of full canvas. You could do what you want. You built the team you wanted. I was not. You taught me only that as we did things. And then once you were in a place where you felt, COVID, I think you got zeroed in on some ideas. And I think that each year, to be honest, City, I don't know, many people say entrepreneurs make amazing colleagues. I don't know how entrepreneurs can remain amazing colleagues. Like, the entrepreneurial itch is unbelievable. Like, always feel कि कुछ मेरे को खुद का करना ही है.
मतलब मैं तो बोलूँगा यहाँ पर भी मैं मतलब खुद का ही कर रहा था. तो just that possibly I joined a little late, but from I have had fights with you कि ऐसे करना है वैसे करना है. I remember our conversation where किसी की टांग ला रहा है. साक्षी calling me कि क्या बातें करते हो तुम दोनों.
Oh yeah, I used to lie down on the bed and like. Oh yeah. For the viewers, I must tell you guys that and as I've gotten feedback, when you bring people in the barbershop, you guys keep cracking inside jokes, and the viewers don't know. So I'm taking that feedback seriously. Chirag had joined us when we were 50 lakhs a month, so very small company, and for 30-40 people.
Yeah, 40 odd people.
40 people in the company. Just 2-3 rounds of funding in, and he joined as Chief Revenue Officer of our online business. So was fully managing the entire online business, which at that time was 80-90% of our business only. So we're basically managing 80% of our total P&L. And we used to have very heavy days at office, and 6:30, 7 in the evening, 8 in the evening, we would kind of go back home. He used to live in Vikaspuri that time, I remember. He used to live in Vikaspuri, no?
Dwarka.
No,
I think in between I shifted, yeah. Started with Vikaspuri.
First house of Vikaspuri. So we used to go home, and then after dinner, maybe that's when we used to get some time to think. My immediate call would be to Chirag, and I would lie down on the bed because I was at home, and that was my comfort solution to be honest. But पेट पे लेट के I would be like, rolling around. Who were you talking to for hours at end? And I was like, Chirag, and so are you sure? I was like, yeah, I think sure. I'm actually talking to Chirag. But that's the thing. I think those conversations were ones of self-discovery. I enjoyed them so much because you were teaching me about our business and teaching me ways to think which I had never thought of before. So for me, it was very like curiosity plus, this kind of excitement कि हाँ ये भी कर सकता है, वो भी कर सकता है. It was something which had not happened before that. So for me, that was.
It was. At least I had not planned कि इतना लंबा stint होगा, etc. etc. I think probably macro changed. COVID happened. मेरे को दिखा कि यार e-commerce बढ़ने वाला है. And I still distinctly remember in our board meetings also कि D2C चलेगा नहीं चलेगा. In 2019-20 I'm talking. When it was very early days or probably 95% of जनता was naysayers.
Correct.
उस टाइम पे मुझे देखा कि अच्छा चलने के लिए क्या लगेगा.
Correct.
What will it take? And I used to figure out कि यार क्या what are going to be the macro things. And I think एक और चीज़ बोलूँगा उससे related, which was my learning in Ketchupp. Don't enter a business which has headwinds. Somebody asked me an interesting question कि आपको एक कंपनी में पैसे डालने हैं, ग्रेट फाउंडर, ग्रेट प्रोडक्ट, ग्रेट मार्केट, किस में डालोगे?
Only one of three. Great market is the answer, I think.
Great market is the answer. कि ग्रेट मार्केट में एवरेज फाउंडर भी जीत लेता है.
So average founder in a great market is better than a great founder in an average. Yeah, completely agree.
तो but what was I saying कि
D2C में.
हाँ, तो D2C में अपना टेलविंड्स मेरे को देखा कि यार हाँ यार ये तो इंडिया विल शॉप आउटसाइड ऑफ अमेजोन फ्लिपकार्ट.
करेक्ट.
और मैंने बोला यार, लेकिन लोगों ने बोला यार चाइना में तो ऐसा होता ही नहीं है, तो इंडिया में क्या होगा? फिर देन मैंने बोला यार बात तो ठीक है, सिमिलर सोसाइटी 20 साल आगे हैं, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा. देन आई फिगर्ड आउट कि वहाँ पे अली बाबा का जो पूरा इकोसिस्टम है ना वो बहुत ही डिफरेंटली चलता है. Whereas Amazon, Flipkart is very different. India probably is like 31 different countries.
Correct. In one.
And very heterogeneous.
Correct.
So even if Amazon, Flipkart want ना कि यार कि वो सबका डिमांड पूरा कर ले, they can't. So then you will have to, and as in when I have seen कि जैसे ही ये लोग कमीशन बढ़ाते, globally it has happened, कि then brands would want to move out. दूसरा था आई थिंक विच इज़ more from people who track trends etc. I think if you look at it from a point of view कि I like to track keyword searches a lot. तो Amazon, Flipkart जब बन रहे थे ना तो keyword search generic होते थे कि shaving foam, example दे रहा हूँ. Then it became, a good example is headphones. Headphones become boat headphones.
That became a source.
अब बोट हेडफोन्स का कीवर्ड सर्च वॉल्यूम इज हायर देन हेडफोन्स.
वाह.
तो आप कैसे गेम जीतोगे? अब अमेजोन पे नहीं जीत सकते आप गेम, क्योंकि यूज़र आके सर्च वही कर रहा है. तो यू हैव टू ब्रेक इट टॉप ऑफ द फनल. टॉप ऑफ द फनल अपनी साइड पे कर सकते हो, नहीं कर सकते वहाँ पर क्योंकि वहाँ जगह ही नहीं है. इट्स अ सेट प्लेटफॉर्म वेयर सेट कीवर्ड्स आर देयर. यू कांट ब्रेक द ट्रेंड. यू हैव टू डू अ न्यू ट्रेंड ऑन यूट्यूब विच विल लेड टू D2C. वहाँ पे जाके आप सिखाओगे, अपनी स्टोरी समझाओगे, एंड देन पॉसिबली देन दैट्स व्हाई आई नाउ से कि D2C इज़ द स्टार्टिंग चैनल, अमेजोन इज़ द सेकेंडरी वन. वेयरएज 2015 में उल्टा था, बिकॉज अमेजोन, फ्लिपकार्ट बोथ वर स्पेंडिंग, दे वांटेड ब्रांड्स टू कम, दे वर सब्सिडाइजिंग, एंड कीवर्ड वर जनरिक.
Correct.
So it flew off from
The
them.
brands should grow.
So that was at least playing in my mind. And of course, I had multiple ideas, not only this one which went well, or which has till date, we've done some amount of work, but lots to do. बहुत ऐसे 4-5 आइडियाज़ थे मेरे पास कि ये करते. दिस वन वर्कड, बट मैंने सबके MVP करे थे. मैंने एक और भी बनाया था विच वॉज बाय द नेम ऑफ कीवी.
Okay.
विच वॉज कि, और वो अपने, और मोस्ट ऑफ दीज वर माई एक्सपीरियंसेस एट बॉम्बे शेविंग कंपनी, कि वी यूज टू स्ट्रगल अ लॉट इन टर्म्स ऑफ गेटिंग क्रिएटिव फास्ट.
Correct.
राइट. सबका प्रॉब्लम है
Correct.
कि क्रिएटिव जल्दी चाहिए. अभी वो चैट GPT और ये सब थोड़ा जल्दी सॉल्व कर देंगे.
Correct.
बट मैंने बोला यार एक सॉफ्टवेयर होना चाहिए जहाँ पे ब्रीफ जाए और डिज़ाइनर को समझ में आ जाए और डिज़ाइनर एक ही क्रिएटिव बनाए, फिर उसके बाद जो वो फेसबुक पे जाना है, इंस्टा पे जाना है, उसके जो डिफरेंट फॉर्मेट्स होते हैं वो सब अपने आप हो जाना चाहिए, राइट? यू नो, व्हाई शुड अ डिज़ाइनर वेस्ट टाइम ऑन दिस? दे आर बॉर्न आर्टिस्ट, दे शुड स्पेंड टाइम ऑन क्रिएटिंग दैट आर्ट. उसके बाद का काम है लाइक वी टेकीज कैन डू.
करेक्ट.
तो मैंने उसका भी एक बनाया था विच 3-4 कंपनी स्टार्ट टू यूज़ इट, बट फिर माई दिस GoKwik आइडिया स्टार्ट टू स्केल, और ये स्केल हो गया तो फिर मैंने कहा चलो यार इसको रख दो साइड में. बट दे आर ऑल्सो टैम वॉज, ऐसा नहीं था कि टैम बहुत बड़ा था. एंड इन आर बिजनेस ऑल्सो आई थिंक वी पॉसिबली हैव अ गुड टैम, विच इज़ वॉट आई वाज सेइंग कि हेडविंड वाले धंधे में मत जाओ, टॉप डाउन जरूर देखो, और टॉप डाउन हैज़ टू मैरी बॉटम अप.
करेक्ट.
दैट्स द ब्यूटीफुल पार्ट अबाउट बिजनेस कि यू नो ऑल VCs विल आस्क यू कि टैम बताओ और फिर GTM बताओ.
करेक्ट.
बोथ आर हार्ड. कि टाइम फिर भी लोग निकालेंगे, अगर जो टॉप डाउन करेंगे GTM अगेन बिकम्स हार्ड.
करेक्ट.
सो पर GTM निकालना मुझे आता है.
But the two founders, I think, who built out most, so very interesting, right? Rohit Bansal, Mukesh Bansal, and Ashish Mohapatra. They are the three founders of great scaled, massive behavioral businesses who have come on the barbershop. Mukesh and Rohit were very clear. बड़ा मार्केट होना चाहिए. बड़ा मार्केट होगा तो फाउंडर के पास there is wiggle room. कुछ ना कुछ करके, as long as the founder is persistent and there is survival of the business, you will find a way to build value. आशीष मोहपात्रा का थोड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग इंसाइट था, ये बोला कि यार unsexy businesses with large profit pools is the place to play. So different way to look at the market. But बोला unsexy business होना चाहिए. बोला Zomato, Swiggy, food, shaving, everyone has an opinion. Alcohol, भाई मतलब सबको opinion है, सबको
रेस्टोरेंट,
हाँ
रेस्टोरेंट.
हाँ, everyone wants to open a bar or a restaurant.
वो पेज 2 ऑफ गूगल है वो.
क्या?
इफ यू वांट टू हाइड अ डेड बॉडी गो टू पेज 2 ऑफ गूगल. तो रेस्टोरेंट बिजनेस है कि सारे मरते हैं उसमें. टेल मी बिजनेसेस व्हिच हैव डन वेल, द प्रोबेबिलिटी इज अगेंस्ट यू. You have to know.
That is hilarious. That is hilarious. तो उसने बोला था कि but again the view on market was profit driven. बोला स्टीम बिजनेस है, 3-4 प्लेयर है, मैसिव केपेक्स है, unsexy business है. देखिए there are multiple value pools across supply chain of steel. It's not just manufacturing but across supply chain. Multiple value pools exist. Can you build a sizable business? She said lending came out of that. Mukesh and Rohit built out Snapdeal and Myntra. Again, massive e-commerce business market size to build it up. But you're right, I think.
उसमें भी मैं यही बोलूँगा ना, एग्जैक्टली. आई थिंक मे बी इफ आई हैव टू बोरो फ्रॉम आशीष की अनसेक्सी, हम कैश ऑन डिलीवरी बिजनेस करते, राइट, विच इज़ अनसेक्सी. कोई नहीं करता है, ग्लोबली होता नहीं है, बट लेकिन इंडिया स्पेसिफिक प्रॉब्लम है, नीड्स टू बी सॉल्व. इट्स अननेसेसरी डेविल. अभी कल परसों अमन गुप्ता ने किसी टॉक में बोला कि इंडिया 50-60% स्टिल शॉप्स ऑन कैश ऑन डिलीवरी. मेरे डेटा के हिसाब से तो 70% कैश ऑन डिलीवरी, इन स्पाइट ऑफ ऑल द UPI ग्रेट वर्क विच वी हैव डन.
Why does that happen still? Is it still lack of trust with the
Yeah, we inherently are a low trust society, and of course, you know, not that people are paying by electronic modes when they are at the delivery point. They are still paying cash, right? और ये हमें थोड़ा सा, you know, if you come to बैंगलोर में तो बिल्कुल ही मतलब वो है कि एवरीथिंग इज डिजिटल,
है ना,
पूछना भी नहीं है आपको. बट आई रिसेंटली लैंडेड इन बॉम्बे. मैंने वो कैब नहीं मिल रही थी, मैंने काली पीली पकड़ ली. भाई बैठ गया मैं, मेरे पास तो ना कार्ड ना कैश. अब तो ATM पर रुक के भी नहीं निकाल सकते. वो बोल रहा है मेरे पास गूगल पे नहीं है. बॉम्बे में अटक गया. फिर उसको बोला यार किसी से प्लीज़ गूगल पे ले लो. मैं कैसे दूंगा आपको, है ही नहीं ऑप्शन. कार्ड भी नहीं रखते अब तो हम. कार्ड इज ऑल्सो यार, तो कुछ भी नहीं है.
करेक्ट.
बेसिकली आई डोंट कैरी एनी वॉलेट नाउ.
यार सेम.
तो वॉलेट है नहीं तो कैसे पैसे दोगे उसको? ऑप्शन ही नहीं है. थिंक अबाउट इट. और मैं तो बैठ गया था ऐसे कि ये तो लेता ही होगा अज्यूम, क्योंकि मैं बैंगलोर से आ रहा था. बैंगलोर में तो सब लेते हैं, ना उसके पास QR है ना उसके पास गूगल पे है. और उसने बोला सर आप ही ऐसे लग रहा है कि सब काली पीली वैसे ही होता है.
But then how did the idea of GoKwik in terms of market sizing come to you? Like what was the initial trigger कि cash on delivery का efficiency बढ़ाते हैं? But if you tell the viewers what GoKwik is today, how it started. I have been fortunate enough to kind of be a part of the journey as an investor and a friend. But our viewers may or may not know it, given that you're, you know, that you're younger and to service brands more than the consumer directly?
So starting बहुत ही interesting थी. I think one was that the space is growing, so there are many things which you can build. And I think my few realizations were, or probably let me start with that GoKwik is now the largest e-commerce enablement company in Asia.
Really?
In Asia.
And largest in what metric?
In terms of GMV process, in terms of ARR, we are the largest, and we are still like 26 months in the business. We are a fairly young company, still trying to find our way, but we've grown fast. We've got PMF. We were the first one, so we created the category.
But what, if you could put it in simple words, what does GoKwik do? Would be very, very interesting.
So, as I was saying, that India is a heavy cash on delivery society, wherein 70% of e-commerce orders are on cash on delivery still. And not only outside Amazon Flipkart, on Amazon Flipkart also. It's the similar number. Somebody might say 60, etc., above 50 for sure.
Is it declining now?
It's declining, but not at that pace because the pie is growing.
Got it.
So in terms of overall volume, it's still growing.
Correct.
And growing like more than 20%. That's the number. So, and now cash on delivery comes with a very interesting problem statement known as failed deliveries. Somebody comes you ordered something, and somebody comes at your doorstep and you decided not to take the order. Because mood change हो गया. कि या तो event चला गया है, या for some reason mood change हो गया है. And that's a massive bleed for the merchant who's sending it, or the marketplace who's sending it.
Reverse logistics and so on.
तो मेरा सामान अटक गया, मेरा inventory अटक गया. Possibly in some cases, when it will come back, it will not be usable.
Sellable, हाँ.
Packaging खराब हो जाएगा,
Correct.
etc. etc. Then in वापस warehouse में invert करवाना, all of this process is cost money. And then of course, logistic guys charge you an extra for the reverse logistics. Right? It's a massive problem. It's a necessary devil in our country. If you have to operate e-commerce, you can't do without COD. If you have to do COD, failed deliveries, which is popularly known as RTO, it comes along.
Return to origin.
If you're running any e-commerce, if you speak to any e-commerce guy, RTO बोलोगे तो वैसे आंसू दिखने लग जाएंगे आपको.
Correct.
कि यार ये तो दुखती पे तुम्हें हाथ रख दिया.
Correct.
So I think it started with that, and this problem statement I was made aware because of my work at Bombay Shaving Company. We also used to deal with it.
Correct.
कि यार क्या चल रहा है.
Correct.
I being a little bit of data oriented guy, I used to also do this कि यार pin code block करते हैं.
Correct.
देखते हैं. But then when we I remember those days with Sugandha, when we used to look at data ना, I realized कि यार ये logistic problem है नहीं. ये actually मैंने problem customer intent की है. कि customer को चाहिए ही नहीं था शायद.
क्यों खरीदता है?
पर उसने इम्पल्स पे खरीद लिया क्योंकि एज अ मार्केटर मैं इम्पल्स इंड्यूस करा रहा हूँ. सो इट्स अ नेगेटिव कॉन्सिक्वेंस ऑफ इम्पल्स परचेस. सो मैंने बोला यार कि अगर एक कंज्यूमर इंटेंट का प्ले है तो कैन वी बी इन द बिजनेस ऑफ प्रिडिक्टिंग कंज्यूमर इंटेंट. लेट्स सॉल्व इट एट सोर्स. सो आई एम अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ अ बिलीवर ऑफ सॉल्विंग थिंग्स एट सोर्स. कि यार सिम्टम्स मत सॉल्व करो, इफ तो सोर्स पे सॉल्व करते हैं कि कस्टमर की प्रॉब्लम है, उसको चाहिए या नहीं चाहिए, वो करते हैं. दैट इज वॉट वी स्टार्टेड कि यार let's start to look at the problem very differently. So and I remember October, November when we started to pitch this. 2020. Everyone says, yeah, this makes a lot of sense, but do you think it's a valid problem? सब VCs ने ऐसे फ़ोन करके चेक करा, रेफ चेक करा, लोगों से पूछा कि यार RTO प्रॉब्लम है. सबने बोला यार प्रॉब्लम मतलब क्या बोल रहे हो आप. ये सॉल्व करा दो तो डन है. तो इट became out कि यार दिस इज़ अ पेन किलर प्रॉब्लम. We will get entertained like anything. Then it became clear when you are in the business of predicting consumer intent, it's a heavy data science play. How do you start? And many businesses, many tech businesses, when they get built, they always go through this chicken and egg problem. That how do you start? So that's where you need to figure out that is it a low key data problem, that some problems can be solved with very less amount of data, whereas some problems require a huge amount of data.
Okay.
So we figured out कि हमें क्या चाहिए. And then with a small amount of data from some of our partner merchants, we figured out कि यार ये हो सकता है. And this is a classic network effect business. If we can power 100% of COD in the country, we'll be able to curtail this problem. Because we'll know the user, we'll know the merchant, we'll be able to pass everyone the information. So think of it like a Truecaller, wherein you get to know how does Truecaller work. When you install a Truecaller app, they take access of your phone book. So they already know that Chirag is already there in Shantanu's phone book.
Correct.
So he's and then possibly in 10 other phone books. So that's how they rate. Similarly, we are trying to rate it in the background. That who's good, who's bad, and then basis that relay this information to our network of merchants, which all of them get benefited. So that's what we do. That's one of the products which we do.
Is that the main product for you guys, or have you kind of moved into other things?
Then we started to do, multiple other things. So we started to do, and the way at least I like to solve problems is I like to be very close with merchants. मुझे लगता है first principles वही होता है. Otherwise, I speak to a lot of PMs and I think PMs are super good at inventing problems. Problem होती ही नहीं है. Invent कर देते हैं. कि ऐसा लग रहा है हमें. बोलो, why do you think it's a problem? Do you have a real anecdote from the merchant?
हाँ.
कुछ नहीं होता. और ये भी I think, since you're talking about this point, I think what has benefited me and I think I discovered on the way that I think as entrepreneur or as anyone who's trying to solve problems, we end up spending a lot less time on problem discovery. We spend 95% time on solution. कि प्रॉब्लम आया एंड वी आर वायर्ड ना एज ह्यूमंस की सोल्यूशन निकालो फटाफट. सब बोलते हैं ना यार आंसर तू ही बता दे यार. हम ही बोलते हैं ना, हम मीटिंग्स में आते हैं, अच्छा तुम ही बताओ क्या है
और तो सो व्हाट,
तो बताओ. तो बट वी एंड अप स्पेंडिंग अ लॉट लेस टाइम ऑन प्रॉब्लम डिस्कवरी कि ये प्रॉब्लम सही है या नहीं है. आर वी सॉल्विंग सिम्टम? और ऑल प्रॉब्लम्स आर नॉट कैपिटल और ऑल प्रॉब्लम्स आर नॉट वर्दी ऑफ मेकिंग बिजनेस ऑल्सो. कि ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको कोई प्रॉब्लम देखिए और बनाने लग गए. आई सी नाउ and I have also done these mistakes. कि a lot of these young founders will come and nothing against them, just that they need to learn these ropes कि all problems पे बड़ा धंधा नहीं बनता और VC धंधा तो नहीं बनता.
Correct.
You can make a good bootstrapped business,
lifestyle
business. If that's what you want, great. There is nothing wrong in it. But VC को तो चाहिए यार, power law business है वो, 10x चाहिए उसको. If you're signing up for it, तो उसको तो बड़ा चाहिए. तो choose the right problem and then go about it. And I have at least one thing I have started to do is in meetings I separate these two now. कि हम प्रॉब्लम डिस्कवरी की बात कर रहे हैं तो हम सोल्यूशन की बात नहीं करते. कि इस मीटिंग में हम सिर्फ प्रॉब्लम की बात करेंगे कि लिखो यार क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम है. एंड देन विल डू अ सेकंड मीटिंग वेयर विल डिस्कस कि यार ये प्रॉब्लम हमें समझ में आ रही है, अब सोल्यूशन निकालते हैं. एंड यू विल बी सरप्राइज, पीपल विल कम अप विद सो गुड सोल्यूशन ना व्हेन यू थिंक अबाउट इट. जस्ट मैसिव.
But you're right. I think problem discovery is a where to play strategy. What to solve, where to play. But if you don't spend time on it, you'll end up doing a lot of things in the wrong. Like, there's no point playing cricket in a ground where there is no audience.
Yeah.
तुम्हारा गेम कितना भी अच्छा कोई देख रहा तो क्या होगा? You need something which is relevant to like a lot of people. You're right. You're absolutely right.
वो भी है ना. Both games are right. Badminton is also right and golf is also right. आप डिसाइड कर लो ना आपको क्या खेलना. VC इज लाइक गोल्फ. आप डिसाइड कर लो, दोनों गेम अच्छे हैं. ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई गेम में कोई बुराई नहीं है. जस्ट दैट कि किसी के लिए कोई एक इन्वेस्टर है, किसी के लिए कोई एक इन्वेस्टर है. इफ़ यू वांट टू बी अ VC बैक्ड बिजनेस तो देयर इज अ सेट प्ले बुक फॉर दैट. एटलीस्ट वो टिक मार्क तो होना चाहिए.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I remember, I don't know whether you watched the Toshan episode.
हाँ.
He's given an amazing analogy for where to play. So I'll tell it to you in brief, okay? So he said, look at Roger Federer's annual income when he was world number 1. 2010.
और आई थिंक कुछ सेकंड थर्ड फोर्थ का देखो ऐसे.
हाँ, तो Roger Federer's annual income was $50 million. World number 10 in tennis, world number 10 was $15 million. Okay? So world number 10 and world number 1 में बहुत फर्क होता है. Juan Martin Del Potro world number 10, Roger Federer world number 15 and 50. But look at world number 1 in the other racket sports. Tennis, table tennis, badminton, table tennis, lacrosse, and I think two. Their average world number 1 income was under $1 million. So it is better to be world number 10 in tennis than to be world number 1 in other sports by 15x.
बट इस पे इसी एग्जाम्पल पे ये बोलूँगा कि आई थिंक दिस इज ट्रू फॉर इफ यू आर थिंकिंग इट इन अ कैपिटलिस्टिक. वेरी गुड एग्जाम्पल. बट अगर आपका पैशन है, यू वांट टू प्ले, देन इट्स द राइट चॉइस.
But then if you want to be world number 1 in badminton, don't have expectations of 50 million income. Because that's the founder view you're talking is कि यार मेरे को बिजनेस पैशन के हिसाब से बनाना है, लेकिन आउटकम मेरे को VC वाला चाहिए.
वो मत करो फिर.
वो that's a very tricky. Then you'll be left disappointed most.
हाँ, वो थोड़ा I think emotionally पीछे होके you have to make that decision.
Correct. But coming back to GoKwik, so you're saying RTO and COD solving was a massive problem. It was a problem for us. We recognized in Bombay Shaving Company when we were together, and of course in 20 other places. And then how did you start building out that business? How did you start? Like, how did you go from being Chief Revenue Officer at Bombay Shaving Company in the middle of Wave 1 lockdown with Shruti and Kruday kind of at home? And by the way, I remember that you were also kind of thinking of moving to Canada, kind of setting base there, wanting a better life for your son from a pollution standpoint, which I think is an absolutely fair thing to do. But saying, hey, hold on, let's put you bought a house in Vancouver. I remember you used to go there and do calls from there 1 week a year and so on. But how did you so I want to kind of cover the emotional journey of deciding to be a founder the second time around, as well as the market-backed journey of raising capital and building a team and so on. So we can cover them in whatever order you feel fit.
I think I would call this a lot of serendipity, or in terms of at least the GoKwik journey. It is not a planned business.
Okay.
It is just that I was ready for it, and it came my way, and I grabbed it. It is one of those things, and of course, I would say that we have executed well as a team. And to your point, I think I left Bombay Shaving Company thinking कि मैं Canada जा रहा हूँ. I still hold a PR, by the way.
You do?
It's still valid. It's still valid. I think it will expire next year. And in fact, I categorically remember August 15th के Amazon sale पे I bought these, वो जो बड़े वाले लगेजेस होते हैं ना.
हाँ, मुझे याद है. हाँ.
I bought these. Still are at home. I've never been used. Shruti still says कि यार पहले ही गरीब फाउंडर है, फिर ये खर्चे और करा देता था.
बकवास मत करो मेरे को. I will come to what Tarun Gowda said about you in a Matrix party in your absence separately, but हाँ, go ahead.
So we bought, और तब कोविड चल रहा था.
Wave 1.
हाँ. तो we thought कि यार जो है ना, we will book the flight next day and go. Mentally we were prepared. Pre-advance booking नहीं करते. और ठीक है. तो we said कि यार September 1st 2nd में ना चले जाएंगे. I think probably August 1st 2nd was my last day at Bombay Shaving Company. ऐसे ही कुछ था. तो and in between ideas तो मेरे दिमाग में घूमते रहते हैं. तो and I clearly remember my sister, she had a 2-year-old baby. They traveled during COVID. Everything packed like suits. वो जो बीच में वो गाउन वो सब आया था.
हाँ.
And apron क्या?
नहीं. What is it called? Those blue suits. PRP. PRP. In COVID. What is it called? Fuck, क्या memory. पूरा. PPE. Correct. हाँ.
Correct. So she came कि यार मेरा भाई जा रहा है. मेरा भाई जा रहा है.
हाँ.
और मिल लेती हूँ, आप पता नहीं फिर कब मिलेगा. तो वो आ भी गई और फिर हम गए नहीं. और हुआ भी ऐसे कि यू सपोज टू गो, सडनली केसेस बढ़ने लग गए. तो मैंने बोला यार श्रुति क्या जल्दी है, चले आएंगे. और 15 दिन रुक जाते हैं, और 1 महीना रुक जाते हैं. फिर दिवाली आ गई. तो मैंने चलो यार दिवाली करके चले जाते हैं. फिर वहाँ पे विंटर्स हो गई.
हाँ.
कि यार अब विंटर के बाद चले जाते हैं, इतनी हार्ड लैंडिंग क्यों करनी है. तो बीच में हुआ मैं चला जाता हूँ. इन बिटवीन आई वाज कुकिंग ऑल ऑफ दिस. और at the back of my mind GoKwik के कुछ MVP चल रहे हैं.
I remember.
I categorically remember Vivek, who is a co-founder here. I met him in 2017, and that's what I learned from you specifically कि यार किसी भी relationship में ना पहले निकालने से पहले ना invest करो. I think that goes to clearly to you. I have seen you do this with everyone. कि invest in the relationship before even you think about asking for a favor.
Correct.
And I think it has paid off to me in many, many ways. I was never this kind of a person pre-2017. So
really?
All of this is Bombay Shaving Company. And I met Vivek when I was selling my company, first company, Ketchupp. तब से we were in touch. और he's a great techie, he's a great builder.
He's not a Bombay Shaving Company.
हाँ, तो वो वैसा वाला है कि उसको मज़ा आता है बनाने में.
Correct.
तो मैंने बोला यार मुझे आता है ये सब बिजनेस करने में, तुझे आता है मज़ा बनाने में। तो वी यूज्ड टू डिबेट अ लॉट, ऐसे मैं उसको कुछ बोल देता ये कर दे, और वो 2 दिन में बना के दे सकता। तो मैंने उसको ये बोला, तो उसको लगा है इनके आइडिया चलने वाले तो है नहीं, बना देते हैं। एंड सडनली दिस वन स्टार्टेड टू स्केल। तो लोगों ने बोला यार ये तो सही लग रहा है, बनाओ, बना रहे हैं हम। तो ही सेड कि आई रिमेंबर एंड दिस वाज लाइक अक्टूबर नवंबर, आई एम स्टिल इन द मिडिल कि यार जाना है नहीं जाना है, श्रुति आफ्टर में कि जाना है, और मैं बोल रहा हूँ अच्छा, मैं बोल रहा हूँ पता नहीं कब बोलूँगा, देखता हूँ। तो एंड देन आई थिंक व्हेन I had my first pitch and we did a small, I think I made a few pitches to Revant, of course I was involved. I made a few pitches to some of our angels, Utsav, angel list head, and they really loved the idea. And by the way, the name of the company that time was SafeKart. SafeKart.
I love that name actually.
So it's also an interesting conversation. And this also, I would say, is attributed to my learnings at Bombay Shaving Company. I was never a marketer at heart. You know, I'm very good at numbers, probably more of a CFO material but I realized the importance of marketing when I came to Bombay Shaving Company. कि यार growth तो यहीं से होती है. Whatever humans might say, they do irrational decisions.
Correct.
हम जितना मर्जी logical कर लें, decision, you know, home buying is the most irrational decision.
Correct.
We all do it.
Correct.
मोस्ट इरेशनल है, आप लॉजिक कुछ भी बिठा लो, पर लेकिन बीवी बोलेगी यार लग तो बढ़िया रहा है, वी शुड हैव आवर ओन हाउस, वी वोंट चेंज एवरी ईयर।
Correct. You'll do it once in your life.
हाँ,
Do it well.
घर तो होना चाहिए। क्या बोलेंगे लोग, लोग क्या बोलेंगे इस हमारा प्रॉब्लम है। तो क्या बोल रहा था मैं?
हाँ, then October November में when
हाँ, तो इट्स स्टार्टेड टू स्केल।
marketing, हाँ marketing of
तो एंजल राउंड कर लिया हमने $500,000 का, लोगों को समझ में आ गया कि यार ये तो कुछ बना सकते हैं बढ़िया। तो
I also was a part of that.
हाँ, यू वर ऑल्सो पार्ट ऑफ इट। तो और वो 2-3 में ही वी सॉट कि यार अभी तो बहुत ही अर्ली है, एंड आई न्यू कि यार जल्दी नहीं रेस करना है, पहले मैं तो श्योर हो रहा हूँ कि यार, क्योंकि मेरे दिमाग में चल रहा है कि मैं यहाँ पर हूँ या बाहर हूँ। रेवंत मुझे बोल रहा है अरे ये टेक धंधा है, ये तो बाहर से बन जाएगा।
मेरे को तो वही लगा था कि आप यू कैन बिल्ड इट आउट ऑफ कनाडा ऑल्सो, बट गिवन इट अ वेरी इंडिया स्पेसिफिक प्रॉब्लम, आई थिंक स्टेइंग हियर मेड सेंस, बट आई जेन्युइनली फील बिकॉज ऑफ टफ टेक यू एंड
हाँ, बट या we can debate about it कि बाहर से बन सकता है नहीं बन सकता है, it's an interesting experiment to do. I think a lot of Indian founders are doing it also now.
Correct.
तो वो हुआ, and then suddenly I think the news broke in the VC circles कि यार ऐसी एक कंपनी है। A lot of people called me कि यार SafeKart पे राउंड हो रहा है। तो मैंने बोला यार SafeKart तो हमारी है ही नहीं। आधे लोगों को ये भी पता है कि 2 कंपनियाँ आई थी, GoKwik और SafeKart, एक का हो गया एक का नहीं हुआ।
Really?
And by the way, why we switched? कि when we went to consumers, we thought कि shopping will be about convenience या shopping will be about safety, long term क्या होगा? And I think the answer which came to us was convenience, कि it will always be about safety, hygiene हो जाएगा over time, but ये चलता रहेगा।
लेकिन आपको वो स्पेलिंग को लेके उसको गलत करने वाली जो आदत है that has not gone away. Ketchup had a double B, Go-Kwik has KWI.
तो बॉम्बे ने भी कर दिया है BAE। There is some rub-off effect.
That is true. That is true. So that's how Go-Kwik was.
हाँ, तो GoKwik बना। इनफैक्ट आई रिमेंबर फर्स्ट पिच डे की SafeKart।
Oh really?
हाँ, फिर
वो कीवी भी याद है। वो कीवी भी याद है, मेरे को SafeKart भी याद है।
कीवी वाज अनदर कंपनी।
But I remember you us discussing कीवी also.
हाँ, कीवी भी हमने डिस्कस करा होगा। आई रिमेंबर मेरे दिमाग में एक और आइडिया था विच नेवर टुक ऑफ, और आई डिडंट एक्सपेरिमेंट ओनली, विच वाज कि यार इंडिया में ना किसी ने हनी बेस्ड ब्रांड नहीं बनाया है, एंड हनी इज एन इंग्रेडिएंट विच इज यूज्ड इन एवरीथिंग।
Okay.
इफ यू थिंक अबाउट इट,
Can be a sugar replacement also.
फेस पे भी लगाना है, सर पे भी लोग लगाते हैं, इवन इफ अ चाइल्ड इज बॉर्न देन ऑल्सो यू यूज इट। तो इट्स अ सीक्रेट काइंड ऑफ एन
And
इंग्रेडिएंट।
shelf life infinity.
हाँ, तो हनी बेस्ड क्या एक ब्यूटी ब्रांड बना सकते हैं, ये मेरा आइडिया था। आई डोंट नो इफ यू आर स्पिलिंग बीन्स गिविंग आइडियाज टू मी,
Which is not a bad idea.
हाँ, तो ये एक आइडिया था। तो पर लेकिन मेरे दिमाग में था कि यार टेक बिजनेस बनाना है, लेवरेज उसमें मुझे आता भी है वो, तो वो बनाते हैं। एंड देन आई रिमेंबर दिस वाज December 10th 11th, और मैंने a lot of I think our angels used to reach out to me कि यार VCs are pinging us,
मेरे को मेरे
Can you
पीछे
talk?
पड़े थे सिटी।
मैंने बोला यार मैं कैसे बात करूँगा, मतलब मेरे को कुछ बनाने से दो। तो लेट मी एटलीस्ट, or I used to debate, I think with you also, कि यार, isn't it too risky for someone to come when I am not sure
Correct.
कि how is this going to play out? It's still very thesis. We've still gone live on one merchant very early. And then I think you pinged me or Revant pinged me that, we've got a call from Avnish Bajaj's Matrix. You have to take this call.
Revant
बोला अच्छा, let's do it then. तो और मेरे को बोला गया कि अवनीश के साथ 1-on-1 है. Suddenly I enter, there are 18 people in the Zoom call. IC है वो. तो ठीक है, I'll present my deck. तो deck होता था मेरे पास, क्योंकि Zoom में ना at least I realize कि यार deck वेक बना लूँ.
Correct.
It becomes a at least good conversation medium. Otherwise it becomes कि you are not able to hold attention. तो मैं present करा, अवनीश ने, and everyone asked few questions, etc., etc. And I think now I know their terminology, so they have this something called as founder market fit.
Correct.
So I think because I understood e-commerce, D2C, etc., etc., so that's where at least there was a fit. And to their advantage, they had a thesis on this play. Ki, I think they tracked a company in China, they tracked a few companies in US who were trying to do a similar kind of a play. So they came back 3 days later, and Avnish, I categorically remember Avnish telling me that I don't know if there is a round, but I want to do the round. So I told him, sir, I appreciate, thank you so much, but I think it's little early, it's very risky for you. So he told me, मेरा risk मुझे मत बता. What will go wrong? So I told him कि सर नहीं चलेगा, तो उसने बोला यार तेरा प्रोडक्ट क्यों नहीं लेगा कोई, हमने चेक कर लिया मार्केट में तो चलेगा. फिर बोला सर ठीक है, फिर अगर आपको 3-6 महीने आगे का वैल्यूएशन देना है तो ठीक है. And then we negotiated about it, and then we got, and then everyone else also came in. Few other VCs also came in, and then we scaled.
Even Matrix, Lightspeed, Sequoia.
No, so
Matrix,
in our
Sequoia?
first one is Matrix and RTP.
Okay.
And then we started to build heads down building, and then Sequoia was tracking us, so they came in June.
Who was the person at Sequoia doing the deal?
Ashish Agarwal.
बढ़िया on that.
Fantastic guy, I think. He gets it. So I'm lucky to have a very, different kind of people in the board who bring very, very different views. So Avnish has done his own startup way back in 2004-05.
Correct.
Sold it.
I spoke to Suvir Sujan just yesterday afternoon. By chance. And I was like, क्या OG founders हैं यार ये, मतलब they're
has been in the space, so has seen multiple startups go through that journey. I sometimes message him कि सर pressure मत डालो, तो उसने बोला I am the last person who will put pressure, पर आराम से. Rajat is there, fantastic guy, understands e-commerce, fintech really well. Agarwal. And interestingly, the guy who was, I think you know Sarthak well.
Yes.
Sarthak who used to be at Matrix.
Yes.
So he's the one who led the deal.
Correct.
He had the thesis, etc., etc. And then when he moved places,
He's now there.
he leads India investments for Think Investments. So he came in later again. And Ashish, of course, he understands a lot of these spaces. I think he's quite sharp in terms of his understanding about the business. How is this going to evolve? And good part about all of these guys is all of these guys push you to think long term.
Correct.
कि यार एक क्वार्टर में कुछ नहीं होगा चिराग. Let's think 5 साल में क्या बनेगा, 10 साल में क्या बनेगा. How are you visualizing? Which is very hard for, at least मेरे को तो बहुत hard लगा.
Mukesh was telling me, CP, Mukesh Bansal told me, look at companies that have lasted 20 years and take their valuation. 94% of that valuation has been created in the second decade. Only 6% was created in the first decade. Look at companies that lasted 3 decades. 80% of the valuation was created in the third decade, 12% in the second decade, 8% in the fourth decade. So, your ability to think long term is so important because you're building institution for decades.
Correct. मैं इसीलिए एक stat खोल रहा था.
हाँ.
I think I was reading somewhere. India is what $3.5 trillion GDP.
$3.5 trillion. हाँ.
First trillion took us 67 years.
Correct.
Second trillion 8 years. Third trillion 5 years. So
That's insane.
67, 8, 5.
This is post-independence for sure.
This is 1947. सो अगला 4 में होगा, 3 में होगा. Look at the pace at which we are going. And I think now I hear this a lot, and probably it's a good decision मैं नहीं गया बाहर. This is a super good place to build a business right now. वो जो fit होता है ना, product market fit. I think India has product market fit at the moment. कि if you are in this zone for next 10, 15, 20 years, tailwinds इतने बढ़िया हैं. You know, look at our demography. 1.4 billion people. 1 billion people. Oh, sorry. 1.4 billion.
1.4 billion.
1 billion people are less than 30 years of age. We are going to be the youngest country till 2070. कहाँ यही लोगों ने खर्चने यार पैसे. Aren't these stats mind boggling?
It's crazy.
कि फिर कहाँ बनाओगे, यही बनाओगे ना. GDP is growing, I think, and we used to debate this a lot, that how will brands at what GDP per capita brand inflection हो जाता है कि when people move on from कि यार मेरे को branded shirt चाहिए, I want to be different in terms of like I want to wear this kurta, correct, कि तो ऐसा चाहिए. I think we are at that inflection point. I am seeing now working with so many D2C brands कि यार गजब लोग shopping कर रहे हैं यार, massive. And from these, at least if I was not doing this business, I would not have heard about it. India that way is growing, we don't realize. And I think somebody told me, not confirmed numbers, but I think Facebook or Google was doing $2 billion India revenue, which is the advertising spends on Facebook.
Facebook, correct.
That's grown by 50%
In 1 year.
in 1 year. It's become $3 billion.
जबकि all the founders are saying महंगा हो गया, ये है, वो है, etc. etc.
Massive. I think Paytm also, from our advertising, I don't remember the numbers, but I think has grown massively. So all of these businesses are growing. So
In a market that is macro level, we have significantly muted. We had a war, we had crude prices go up, we have a very volatile public market index for the last 1.5 years. You still see consumption going up.
India is the place to be from all angles. I can throw a lot of data, but I'm a true believer that this is a place to be, and entrepreneurs like us are going to. And I think our government also is very supportive that way. They have truly played to that part where they don't want to get into business. They are saying we are enablers. आप business करो, हम enable करेंगे. We don't understand this thing, and I think they are truly living up to it.
Even when I go to Matrix events, तरुण दावड़ा मेरे को एक बार पकड़ गया, दारू पी के. चिराग के कंपनी में तो शेयर्स हैं, डोंट एवर सेल दैट. मैंने बोला आई हैव नो इंटेंशन ऑफ. लेकाकॉन बनेगा वो, लेकाकॉन बनने वाला है वो. दैट्स द वन, द शाइनिंग डायमंड इज गोना बी. आई फेल्ट सो प्राउड टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट बिटवीन यू एंड मी, बिकॉज दैट वाज वेरी अर्ली डेज. मतलब प्रॉब्ली ईयर एंड हाफ बैक. आई थिंक 2021 वाला जो मैट्रिक्स वाला क्रिसमस वाला इवेंट, सो 1 year
अच्छा,
1 year into your farming, but the strength of what you are building and the conviction which your investors have is spectacular. It has remained the same over the last 1.5, 2 years, ever since I exited as well. But good to have like India's best investors not only invested but saying such things publicly and believing in the large market, great founder, good traction.
I think, of course, I am lucky to have them on my side. They've been super supportive. But मुझे नहीं पता कि डेकाकॉन यूनिकॉर्न बनने वाला है. I just love what I'm doing. I like to build. I don't foresee myself doing anything else. एक बारी कुछ ऐसे बात हो रही थी. Somebody came at this एक family में, I think मेरे colleagues ही बैंगलोर में हमारे घर आए हुए थे. And somebody asked Shruti Go-Kwik with it. And they asked कि यार somebody will acquire तो क्या करोगे. तो imagine श्रुति का पहला response क्या होगा.
Wait, I know her well enough to assume this. Oh, check. Acquire कर लेंगे तो क्या करोगे.
तो 10 लोग, I think 20 लोग बैठे होंगे. She looks at me and say, तू करेगा क्या next. कोई वो नहीं है, उसको पता है फिर हमारी जान खाएगा. तो शी नोज मी रियली वेल कि भाई
एक चीज़ कर,
नहीं, और इसको बनाने में बहुत मज़ा आता है. बिजी गाय इज़ बेटर देन कि ये खाली दिमाग में घूमेगा फिर बोलेगा किचन में ये सही नहीं है.
This is a long-term view for like the building Go-Kwik is a long-term view. But if there is value on the table, if there is, for example, a very acquisition-friendly space also.
I think I like to build. So I like being in the busy space where my mind is occupied, looking at problems, speaking to merchants or speaking to end consumers. So for example, till date, I have given, a lot of responsibility to others, but few things which I still maintain. I will meet 30 founders every quarter in person and not related to our products. I will generally have a conversation with them just to...
Founders, brand founders, any founders?
Mostly the segment which we are trying to go after. If today it's D2C, tomorrow it's any other segment. I would want to meet them, continuously meet them. How are their interests evolving? What are they thinking? To understand their language, their fears, which is what a classic, product manager should do. Product manager, at least I would evaluate that they have to be best in terms of understanding the customer. मैं तो इनफैक्ट दूसरे एक्सट्रीम में भी चला जाता हूँ कि मैं अपने गोक्विक में बोलता हूँ कि पीएम ऐसा होना चाहिए कि वो अगर सेल्स की मीटिंग में चला गया ना तो क्लाइंट नहीं बता सकता कि वो सेल्स का बंदा नहीं है. अगर वो कस्टमर सक्सेस के साथ चला गया तो क्लाइंट नहीं बता सकता कि वो कस्टमर सक्सेस नहीं. दैट्स हाउ अ पीएम शुड बी. हाँ, बिकॉज दे शुड अंडरस्टैंड मर्चेंट लैंग्वेज, दे शुड अंडरस्टैंड उनको कैसे समझ में आता है. सो आई थिंक इफ यू स्टार्ट टू लुक एट इट फ्रॉम दैट वे ना, पीएम रोल इज़ वेरी हार्ड. Very hard, which most people don't realize, and globally, not only India. I have seen a lot of people confused between project management and product management. It's very hard. For example, Shreyas Doshi is our advisor.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he has taught me a lot of this. A lot of people, I think he gave me an interesting stat that in US, if you take all product managers, 70% of them are great at project management skills, 25% or 20% are good at analytical skills, 10% are great at doing insights. And 10%. Insight generation is very hard. So my sense is India में insights वाले बहुत कम है. कम है. Because that's very hard to do. All PMs typically end up, are working at Google, some of these large companies. Already scaled up products हैं. मुश्किल भी होता है, insight generation, what we were discussing earlier also in terms of being secure about yourself. It's a hard one. And people who have insight generally become founders. And he was saying it happens in US also. Just that the pool is wider, so you get more people. And I think he was saying an interesting one, that insight generation people might not necessarily be only in product management. They are across the company. So you just need to find them and then tell them that, you give me insights. It's just about curiosity. And I think I have learned a lot when I have started to look at it from that lens. That there are so many people who are good at insights. They are either in ops, they are in data science, they are in many different functions. They just give you such good insights, and all they do is they just question all assumptions. Ki why is this way?
Compare and contrast your Go-Kwik journey with your Ketchupp journey, and you can kind of come to Ketchupp a little bit now, right? Which is something you started, you were maybe, 11, 12 years younger than you were today.
ये सब याद मत दिलाओ.
You're a much younger founder, obviously doing something for the first time without the, experience of. So compare and contrast, and the core founder skill sets, right? Market evaluation, right? Versus building a team versus raising capital. Think about how, just kind of compare and kind of maybe give the viewer a sense of what Ketchupp was when you built it.
So at Ketchupp, we were trying to solve what to eat as a problem. What to eat. आज खाने में क्या खाना है. So we thought where to eat, Zomato solve कर दिए. I still believe that problem is still unsolved. And I fundamentally believe that's a more frequently asked question than where to eat. So from a frequency point of view, you ask every meal कि मुझे क्या खाना है. So from a use case point of view, use case exists. We thought that there is so much review data, and right now it's getting solved through accidental discovery. Like you go on the app and You discover, right? Whereas how cool it would be if I could figure out that yeah, मेरा मन कर रहा है बिरयानी खाने का. What's the best biryani around? And you could surface that. What's the best street food around? Could surface that. We thought we can make this hyper local, and we actually made the tech. I was very lucky to have 2 IIT Delhi co-founders with me who built out this fantastic, tech piece. And I think we scaled up also pretty much well, 3 million users a month, backed by Anand Looney at India Quotient. And when we started to think, and I would say that 2015, maybe where I missed the bus. I think 2015, a moment came where Swiggy was born. And we were right at that juncture where a moment came कि यार Swiggy बन जाए क्या? And we consciously decided कि नहीं यार वो नहीं करना है. Ops धंधा नहीं बनाना है. We took that call and we know the output. अगर वो ले लेते तो शायद output कुछ और निकलता. Right? But it was a consciously taken call. We had a very good team. There also I was lucky enough to have, we had a small team, 20 odd people, but very good, high energy.
Our people is now hitting consumer insights for us. Yeah, outstanding.
And we all enjoyed the journey. Just that we didn't end up, making a lot of money. But from a learning point of view, and it was hard that way, if you speak to some of the older people, the kind of offices which we used to work at Ketchupp versus now, it's like very different.
A lot of people Ketchupp with you at GoKwik?
No, I think only one. Only one techie that also came in late. Not in the initial days. In fact, 2. One of them is, I think, early, one designer. He's been since, I think, 6-7 months, when we were 6-7 months in the journey. So he's been there. And I think when we started to monetize, then we realized, the problem is that, so what we ended up doing is that people are coming, discovering food, and then they wanted to place that order. For placing that order, we were taking them to Zomato, Swiggy. Now, the problem is Zomato, Swiggy themselves are doing 200-300 AOV. They themselves are earning 5-7% of that. How will they give me an affiliate income rate? So, we were trying to build 91 mobiles of affiliate for food. We thought that's going to be the outcome. But the difference is that the phone ka AOV is very good. So they can, for every transaction influenced, 91 mobiles can potentially get $500. Whereas we would get $5. So economics se nahi baithta hai. So we realized कि ये तो नहीं हो रहा है. So then we went into कि चलो यार ads monetization करते. Then we started to work with a lot of these food brands. Epigania, PepsiCo. We did a massive campaign with Quaker Oats, which won a lot of awards. And then we were in the journey. We were starting to do I think couple of $1 million. And then I thought, instead of building the sales muscle on my own, why don't we, join hands with someone who already has it? And that's how it started to happen. And then I moved on. At the end, it became hard because one of my tech co-founders decided that I will do something else. So he moved on. One of my other co-founders also, we came to a point where we didn't have money in the bank. So I had to ask him, yaar, kuch aur tu dhoond le. If you want to contribute here, it's okay, but idhar se to nahi ho payega. I myself was not taking salary. So from that point of view, it became hard, but I think I've always enjoyed these journeys because I always have this view that win is just around the corner. You just need one more client. So I always work with that belief. So that way I think it works out. But otherwise from a learning point of view, it was hard, not maybe from a number of hours of execution. Yeah. I probably did more number of hours of execution per day at Ketchupp than I do at GoKwik. Because the market had headwinds. Again, coming back to the same thing, choose the market right. If the market is not right, a great founder, average founder will not also win. So that became my realization. And also, I didn't used to do a lot of top-down thinking. By nature, I'm a bottom-up thinker. I like to get...
That's the same with finance people, right? You kind of collect all the data and then think bottom-up.
And maybe, when you start working also, unless, you've gone to McKinsey.
So, there has to be some McKinsey bashing or McKinsey praising in this. Given.
But otherwise, तो top bottom up भी, insights are generated bottom up. कि आप सोचते हो यार कि ऐसे करेंगे वैसे करेंगे. तो and by nature, when you start your careers, you are paid to do bottom up thinking.
Correct.
You're not doing top up thinking because वो तो कोई और करता है. So it becomes very hard. But then I realized कि यार there is so much importance to this. We end up generating a lot of insights. But top down से marry नहीं करते. वहाँ पे गलती होती है. तो I decided कि जब भी मैं कुछ next करूँगा ना, I will definitely do top down. I made it कि a habit कि I'm going to wear different hats. कि bottom up के लिए अलग, top down के लिए अलग. नहीं होगा ना तो नहीं करेंगे. I have to get clear signals कि या तो मार्केट है या मार्केट बड़ा होने वाला है. मार्केट बड़ा होने वाला है का मतलब है कि either you get clear data points, then this is going to happen. And I can go on in terms of large companies trying to create habits. Otherwise, habit creation is very hard. Very hard. Startups should not get into it. It's very hard.
Correct.
Large companies, for example, if Apple is trying to do something, ride on that wave. They will put a lot of money. For example, today Meta is putting a lot of money on WhatsApp. Do that. Likelihood that you will make a good business out of it is high because Meta is going to push a lot of it. So you just have to ride the wave. So think about those macro trends which keep happening. Ride the wave with some of these large companies.
I'm thinking, Chirag, for someone who's as optimistic as you are, and someone for whom the next win is around the corner, right? To always look at the bright side of things. To be in a situation where, you may have taken the wrong, did not take the pivot call to become Swiggy. The business had significant headwinds. For you, your son was young, so and the India story had not fully played out in 2015 yet. The way it is playing out now, that time was a young government, the startup India way. Now that I think about it, when we started Bombay Shaving Company, or around the time when Ketchupp was there, right? India was very different. We did not order food on Zomato, Swiggy, for example. Uber, Ola penetration was much lower. There was no UPI. So India today is very different from the India of 2015. People don't realize, people think that 2015 to abhi hai. 2015 is ages back, right? For someone as optimistic as you, to go through headwinds, go through the massive personal loss that I know affected you as a founder and as a person, and then to feel that I want to just go away, and I think I want to start afresh in a different country for my son and my wife and so on. What kind, was it fortitude that kept you back, which worked very well for Bombay Shaving Company and for Go-Kwik, but was it fortitude? Was it optimism, defeating circumstance? And how do you think about this? Maybe, I don't know, they have thought about it in this way, but if you were to just kind of look back the last 7-8 years since those times till now,
I think one for sure that, I'd say two things. One, about I am privileged that my dad, so I am raised by a single parent. He has been the mother and the father, and my dad who passed away in 2017. So he has always given me that comfort, and both from money point of view and also from a thoughtfulness point of view, that ki try karte hain, dekhte hain kya hota hai.
What did he do for a living?
So he was a banker throughout his life.
Correct.
But at the end of his career, he did a few businesses also, and which worked out really well. And that point of time, and he did, by the way, both of them in parallel. So he was a banker, and then in parallel, he was the largest importer of RO machines in India at one point of time.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, so...
The water purifiers.
Water purifiers. First and largest. That company still runs. He took away the exit. So luckily, I never had to look at my bag saying, I'm going to run out of money, etc., etc. At least that safety was there. And we were always taught, my sister and I were always taught to be frugal. Correct. So, hippo. So, we were always taught to be frugal. We are like that. Question all, why are we spending this, etc., etc. So
classical middle class India and so on.
So that was always there, and the other part was that I was always debt free in my life. never took loans. Consciously never took loans.
FMS में पढ़ाई करोगे तो ऐसे होगा. FMS और DC में पढ़ाई करोगे तो क्या ही लोन लोगे?
Best ROI. Best ROI colleges. तो but never took loans consciously कि घर भी लेना है तो against all prudent advice डाउन पेमेंट पे पूरा ले लेंगे, पहले सेव कर लेते हैं फिर ले लेंगे. एंड ऑल्सो बिकॉज आई ऑलवेज थॉट कि यार कभी ना कभी तो करूँगा, तो यार ये नहीं चाहिए कि इसलिए नहीं कर सकता क्योंकि नाउ आई हैव अ 50 लाख रुपीज़ ऑफ लोन, सो आई हैव अ फिक्स्ड EMI टू पे. और अगर मैं कहीं पे भी अपना स्टार्ट करूँगा तो आई कांट हैव अ मिनिमम गोइंग इन सैलरी आस्क कि यार मुझे तो लाइक आई वांट 1 लाख रुपीज़ ऑफ सैलरी एवरी मंथ, उसके बिना तो वाइड.
हाँ करेक्ट,
राइट. सो आई ऑलवेज थॉट कि यार ये तो मुझे नहीं चाहिए. एंड इनफैक्ट आई रिमेंबर when I married Shruti also, this was my exact conversation कि if you are marrying a banker, I used to work at Yes Bank at that point of time. If you are marrying a banker, then don't marry a banker because this banker is going to go away. I don't know when.
Wow. So don't marry me for being a banker.
So I think probably उसके दिमाग में कुछ चला होगा कि उसको मना नहीं निकल लेते, बंदा तो ठीक लग रहा है. तो in terms of क्या बोल रहा था,
upbringing,
yeah, so I think that those things really worked for me. And also I have always been one of those कि कोई भी other.
But how did your father like kind of bring you and you and Pallavi would have grown up more independent also, like given he would have work all day and then you guys would have probably have to take care of your colleges and school and like a lot of codependence between you and her. Did that bring you both together a lot?
Yeah, of course, we're very close, but I think she has taken probably, in spite of I being elder, she has probably taken more care for me than I have.
I've heard so much about her, I actually never met her.
So she's a dentist in Bombay, well settled now, she runs 3 clinics now, so very well settled. I think she's also doing well. So tribute to our dad, at least she's done well. He has done well in terms of at least getting to us where we are. And also I think one more point, that I've always been on the side of taking risks. I was connecting dots one time. So I've always been that if somebody has said no, if somebody has given me a challenge, I've always taken it. Even if it was not worth the fight. Now I have started to calibrate that whether it is worth fighting or not. But otherwise I would take any challenge. कि मैं तो करूँगा. I remember 2000 and this is 2002 engineering days. We became the first ever team to build out a Formula type race car and took it to UK. Imagine 2002 taking a 17-18 people team to UK who has built out a car in India, Formula type car. There's a competition which happens in run by a society called SAE, which is Society of Automobile Engineers. They run this competition globally called as Formula SAE, which is that all of these colleges build out a car and then they race in a proper track in UK. Nothing like that had happened in Asia. No ever team had ever participated. हमें पता नहीं कहाँ से सपना आया. One of our team leads, अर्पित करके एक बंदा है, he said कि, and he's a big time F1 fanatic. So he said कि यार बनाते हैं, बढ़िया लग रहा है, बढ़िया लग रहा है, बनाते हैं. Without even realizing कि how hard it's going to be.
You guys were all in DC at the time.
How? We luckily we got one guy who owned a factory near DC, massive factory. उसके पापा को बोला कि यार देखो तो आपको काम करना पड़ेगा. We took him some sponsorship on the car and said कि आप क्या ही बनाएंगे. We built it for, and I remember it was a very hard journey building that out car, and we were very young also, in terms of fights with each other. We were studying parallelly, so getting support from professors. Earlier, day one college would also say कि यार क्या कर रहे हो, पढ़ लो.
अब final year में थे, third year, what year?
This was second year, third year. We did it for 2 years consecutively, third year, fourth year. So started doing in second year, took it, finally made it in third year, at least took it to UK in third year, and then fourth year again.
Wow.
Got the best endeavor award, I think, when we took it for the first time. But it was very hard. I remember cars are dangerous goods, because they have fuel, or they can have fuel. So by customs, it is classified as dangerous goods. And we took it to customs. And before even that, हमारे पास पैसे ही नहीं थे. And अब गाड़ी ले आनी है यहाँ से. And at that point of time, it will cost 2 lakh rupees to take a car to UK. 2 lakh rupees. How will parents pool? Parents are thinking, हमारे बच्चे क्या 2 lakh रुपए? Even if it was 10 grand.
A lot of money.
10,000 rupees in 2002 was a lot of money.
Okay.
So somebody gave an idea कि यार let's go to Air India and pitch. So I went to the sports minister and pitched. Luckily he agreed. We got the sponsorship, we went to the customs, and they are saying this is dangerous goods, now it will cost us even more. So then also there we pitched, etc. We cried and all of that stuff happened. Finally, we took it. So it was massive learning for me in terms of how hard it can be. Then 2000s, I think 2009, or maybe even I got my first job. I was never a topper in life. Always a backbencher. Because of making this car, I got a PPO at the dream job Maruti.
Maruti, हाँ.
Mechanical engineer को एक ही नौकरी चाहिए होती थी उस टाइम पे कि मारुति में नौकरी लगा दो. तो I got it. And I didn't even qualify in terms of marks. I think 75 was the cutoff. I always used to be at 65. So all toppers used to look at me कि यार. There also similar thing happened, I think, and Maruti has this program called as GET, which is Graduate Engineer Trainee Program. And in that trainee program, they take you through every department. I somehow liked sales and marketing for some reason. I still don't get it why I liked. And there's a very senior guy who I still, are in very good terms with. He's been a mentor throughout my life. And he used to head engineering at that point, which is R&D. He told me that you should come to R&D. And R&D had max amount of seats. So at the end of the graduate engineer training program, you are supposed to rate that what is your preference, where you want to go. And alongside it, there are vacancies. So the max vacancies were in R&D or probably second, third, where you will easily get it. I decided to put one or the first preference is sales and marketing, where it was written 0. No vacancy. Somebody told me कि आपका choice लिखना लिख लो. Maybe it might go to HR and they might decide कि they have one vacancy and they might give you. Do you want to take that risk? I took that risk. Didn't end up getting it. Ended up getting the last choice because people told me कि अगर वो first नहीं मिलता है, then you go down. I got production. I was on the shop floor.
Wow.
6 months I worked at shop floor and I realized कि this is not for me. This is not.
I cannot imagine you be on the
This
job.
is not for me. I used to be with the mics कि जल्दी बनाओ.
Ketchupp.
So, and then from there on, I met. So this is how dots connect in the history. Wherein I met my co-founder, who is co-founder in Go-Kwik. I met him in 2006.
In Maruti?
No, I went to a data analytics company called Inductis.
Correct.
That's where I met Ankush. We never thought we were going to, do this. Who's going to visualize this 15 years आगे क्या होने वाला. We worked together. In fact, Kunal, who is head of product, he also was there.
Inductis used to be an amazing hotbed of talent at that time. There are so many good people who come out of Inductis.
And this was like very early days, 2006-07, data analytics was very new. Yeah.
Correct.
And I remember somebody taught me pivot in 2006. I was mind blown.
Correct.
क्या बनाया यार. 2-3 दिन तो समझ ही नहीं आया मुझे. किसी ने बोला ऐसे करके लाना है रोज कॉलम्स. And I'm figuring out कैसे होता है ये, कैसे ड्रैग कैसे होता है.
Microsoft Excel is an amazing tool. Like I don't think most people, like 99% of people use only 1% of Excel.
Yeah, it's massive.
But if you open up Excel as a tool, but Inductis.
Look at so many companies which are born out of Excel use cases. So many companies.
Inductis, Mu Sigma, ZS Associates. ये 3-4 जो है ना, like people from IITs, good engineering colleges, good undergrad talent would end up at these places. We used to pay well, had good music. I remember जो लोग B school आते थे ना यहाँ से, I used to have a lot of respect कि यार बहुत amazing, interesting सीख के आया कुछ तो ये.
तो वहाँ पे वो रिस्क लिया.
हाँ.
फिर चला गया FMS. Never had the courage or dream of or thoughts of कि प्लेसकॉम में आना है. 2008 bumper placement for our seniors.
हाँ.
And then 2009
Screwed.
crashed. Lehman crashed, etc. etc. Match told me, why don't you come in the place को. I said, आप challenging लग रहा है, आप आते हैं.
Really?
तो लोगों ने बोला यार placement नहीं हो सकती अब. Nobody was willing to stand. I said, okay, let me come now. Ended up becoming head of Placecom in 2008-9.
Wow.
So, and it was a massive exposure changing experience for me also. I learned so much in that experience. And I think, I can count many such instances where I've taken risk, came out. So, it's become now okay. कि ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि, world is going to change. We are going to figure out. Let's keep it day by day.
That's amazing. I think a lot of this comes from just the innate confidence that maybe someone like your father would have just given to you, that worst comes to worst, you are still a winner, I'm still around. No?
I think you learn a lot more from failure than success. So it's a necessary part to get to success. If you don't do that, I think even if, let's say, you are running Bombay Shaving Company, ऐसा नहीं है ना कि all our decisions are right.
Correct.
We still go down some, bad decisions which keep us or bring us back by a quarter, etc. etc. But that's okay. That's part of the journey. You're building a 10-15 year long journey. Those things will happen. We'll end up taking a decision where we'll spend $1 million and realize, and in history it'll look like, yeah, what a fucked up decision this was.
क्या सोच रहे थे?
हाँ, मतलब what were you smoking?
That is what?
But वो हिस्ट्री में लगता है उस टाइम पे, because context etc. And I like to reflect a lot wherein I will go back and say कि why did I take the decision, and I ask, let's say, one of my co-founders कि अच्छा तू होता तो बता, you would have thought differently. I will ask someone senior in the team कि how could we have avoided this, what did we miss. Usually it will come down to, with that kind of information, probably it was a light call or time और लगाते तो शायद हो जाता. But then you have to take those calls with 60-70%, 50% data.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Tell me about being an entrepreneur beyond just building and solving problems. Like, what excites you about, like, now that you are a much older entrepreneur compared to when you started Ketchupp. You started Ketchupp to solve a problem. You are building GoKwik to solve a problem, but you are building GoKwik with 200 people, other co-founders, now many investors, an ecosystem of people who looks up to you as someone who's a thought leader in the internet e-commerce space. You're also an angel investor in other places.
नहीं हूँ मैं. Forced angel investor.
But जो भी
I don't have money, गरीब founder हूँ मैं यार.
बकवास मत करो बिल्कुल भी.
Let me clarify. My wife puts it very nicely. Money in current account is not same as money in savings account. Money with your company is different from money with Chirag Taneja or Shruti Taneja.
That I agree. But net worth तो है ना. हाँ, liquidate होगा जब होगा. तो अभी तो it's too cheap to sell. But isn't that गरीब तो बिल्कुल नहीं है.
गरीब founder.
I think that's a good story to tell so that you can kind of remain frugal and grounded. And I get it. But I think the benefit of perspective which you've had over 9 years of now running companies, right? And building and running. When did you leave West Bank to start Ketchupp?
2014.
14. 9 साल हो गए आपको. For what excites you beyond that?
Yeah, if you ask personally about me, I'm a very insight hungry person. So I like to, at least I should sleep with one new insight every day. That's what keeps me happy. Not about that we have done this much ARR, etc. But I think I'm generally a very curious guy. Like to understand how, consumers take decision, where will, they spend. And it's a very interesting science if you start to look at it from that angle. As a student. And I can go on. I think this is my favorite topic. I read a lot. That's why
Give me a sense of the last 2-3 mind-blowing insights that you slept with over the last week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, month.
वो था ना कि I think people like to spend a lot more on things which they can showcase. Look at products in your living room versus your other rooms. The gross margin will be very high of products which are in living room.
Really?
Think about it. You will have all things to, prove that you are high on status in your living room. It will come very subconsciously to you, but gross margin बनाना है तो living room की चीजें बनाओ.
That is so true. That is so true. In fact, I was thinking about this just 3-4 days back. I was telling someone, I forget who, कि I personally don't like my approach to spending money on myself is to think not anything else but how frequently will I use what I'm buying. And the more the frequency of usage, the more I'm ready to spend. For example, people will only have actively 4 to 6 pairs of undergarment and 4 to 6 pairs of socks. They won't probably have active more than that. So you're wearing one twice a week or once in 6 days, right? Versus shirts, trousers, etc., which you're probably wearing once in 15 days, once in 20, because you have a lot more shirts than your undergarment. We spend a lot more on the shirt than the undergarment. मेरा पूरा उल्टा होता है. I have very few clothes and I have a lot more undergarments. I spend a lot of money on good shoes because I wear them 12 hours a day every day, right? I will spend on a good car and a good chair. I will absolutely not spend on something which I use far less frequently, which is a very different mechanism from the living room, this thing construct. But you're right. You're absolutely right. Which is why building a premium shaving business is so difficult because you're not showing it.
If you want to ever write a book, write a book about some of these cliche topics, how to get rich, how to be slimmer, etc., etc. Bestseller इसी में होता है. Bestseller is very difficult in some of these. Sapiens has become a bestseller, but I think otherwise it's very tough. Here the probability of winning is very high because everyone wants to buy this. Just from a mass output point of view, that is what some of these authors do. They will pick up a massy concept and just put one book there and it runs. It just runs. So, or I think I have some data around it. It works.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's fine. That's what people want, right? End of the day, people. Why do you think barbershop works, for example? क्या लगता है आपको? आपने तो देखा हुआ काफी. You probably know everyone who's come on the barbershop. You know 90% of them, if not all of them. Why do you think this construct works? What about this conversation between you and me today? It was fun for us, but why will thousands and lakhs of people lap it up and enjoy it? Why? Why do you think?
तो थोड़ा controversial answer दे देता हूँ कि I think इंडिया में लोगों के पास टाइम ज़्यादा है. We are a time rich, money poor society.
But टाइम है तो मतलब लोग गाने देखेंगे, मूवी देखेंगे. ये क्यों चल रहा है?
I think, for example, if I reflect on Shanky's episode, it's so inspirational. Learning from somebody who's, let's say, not founder today, possibly founder tomorrow, learning from his experience. And I know a lot of these early stage employees must watch that episode. If somebody is going to come, I'm going to ask him, ye dekh le. That's how the life is. That's how ownership should be. So it just reinforces, for me at least. And, I'm just, I've done a content business before. So I know the power of content. Content is king.
Correct.
If, Shantanu wants to, or, we two want to, or any guests want to relay something to millions of people, thousands of views, it's a perfect, mode to go about it.
Correct.
So I think people watch it because one, not only they get masala, but they do get the tool side of, how hard it is. Do you really enjoy it? Is it thrillful, or is it always like, you're fighting against the wall? So people get the real perspective, I think. Mostly I think that should be the reason. I have not.
You're right. You're right. People get us, it's an inside view into a conversation which peels the layers of entrepreneurship. But I think which is what the original thesis of the show was, or the podcast was. But what I'm realizing more and more as we do more and more episodes is people start believing that मेरे जैसा आदमी बड़ा बन सकता है. Right? This is Chirag is like me only. मैंने भी तो गाड़ी बनाई थी इंजीनियरिंग में. मैं भी तो FMS का ग्रेजुएट.
Exactly.
मैं भी तो फूड के बारे में ऐसे सोचता हूँ. Now I can build a Go-Kwik.
Absolutely, I agree.
So that motivation and that relatability is what. So you're right. India is such an aspiration-hungry country, na, and that's why this probably works. Which is why living room margin pools are bigger, and that's great. I think it's good for us to start spending and start living a good life.
And we are a very high IQ society.
Correct.
If we get it right in terms of business बनाने के लिए क्या चाहिए होता है, वैसे ज़्यादा IQ चाहिए ही नहीं होता.
Correct.
But I think it works. I think another thing which I learned from you, I remember, and this is probably very useful for viewers or people who want to start their own companies. There is, when I joined Bombay Shaving Company, I was always a data guy. Look at numbers, etc., and always used to say data follows story. And I remember you and I used to have this conversation, and you used to always be on the side, story follows data. And I actually pivoted.
Yeah.
I said it's actually true. Entrepreneur dreams of something, and then data follows.
Correct.
Right? So doing that, or for me taking a 180 degree, was itself a very new learning for me. And now I started to believe truly that, some people just dream something and say that I find this problem in the world and I feel that this is not right.
Correct.
It just irks me. And I visualize the future to be like this. Now, are you aligned or not?
Correct.
And then data starts to flow in.
I will bend the will of the world to mine. Correct. It's a very entrepreneur thing, by the way. Ye story hai, boss. Now, data, decisions, business, even consumer will follow.
That's why all type of businesses are great. It's just that, we should not get married to ki VC wala dhandha hi kar.
Correct.
If you find something wrong, let's solve it. Even if it makes a small business, it's a great outcome. We should celebrate that. That is what country needs.
But Reckitt Benckiser, now Reckitt, is amazing in category creation. So they do a lot of the things that we talk about very counterintuitively. And he gave me the example of Lysol. He said, so हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं? बड़े मार्केट में जाओ, disrupt करो, mostly through price, right? He's like, नहीं. Create the market. Reckitt has to create the market, right? So Lysol came in 1993. I think global brand था India में है. Toilet साफ करनी है. We're going to move people from acid and phenyl to Lysol, okay? And we're going to price it very high. With the first product in the category, we're going to price it very high, create an 80% margin profile. जो भी इसके बाद आएगा, 80% पे आएगा, तो profit pool हम बना लेंगे. And 1 or 2 times a month, we will show toilet cleaning on television at 8 p.m. when people are having dinner. So we're going to have a shock factor to our marketing, great packaging, high price. And I'm like, how did you ever imagine winning this? कि market create कर रहे हो महंगे price पे ऐसी अजीब सी marketing करके. बोलता नहीं यार, इसके लिए 30-year view is important. 1992 we had a view कि 2022 तक this is how the business is going to grow. And I'm like, that's amazing. That is real long-term thinking, right? So for us, like even founders today in 2023, really need to have 20-50 views. And I cannot imagine how difficult that is. But at least put an anchor in the ground. There are 3-decade view to rakho.
Yeah.
Now, path we don't know, might be pivots and so on, but at least have a 3-decade view.
And I think you would know this, ये जो law of compounding है ना, I call this 8th wonder of the world. 9th wonder is incentives. But लेकिन समझ नहीं आता ना, we humans we don't get the, to the power equation. For example, 10% growth month on month. If I ask someone year end में कितना होगा?
It's crazy.
नहीं समझ में आता लोगों को.
It's crazy. 10% month on month is crazy.
3.1 times हो जाता है. 3.12 ads.
See, 20% every 2 months, so it doubles every 6. Double every 6.5 months. Correct?
जैसे मैं किसी को बोलता हूँ थ्रेटर, क्या बोल रहे हो? They will go back to the Excel sheet and do. We don't get the law of power of compounding. It's very hard. Very hard. For us also, मैंने तो रट लिया है. But it's very hard.
मैं तो हमेशा बोलता हूँ लोगों को कि law of compounding depends upon 3 variables. Starting number, number of years and rate of growth. He's basically sensitivity to rate of growth is maximum. Starting point doesn't even matter.
And it's not only true for numbers, it's true for our habits also.
Yeah.
Like for example, you invest in people. I think the way it comes back to you with a compounded effect
Is very high.
is very hard. Same if you keep doing good deeds. You know, another thing maybe, for founders or for people who want to think about forming companies, don't look at your bank balance every month. That's the biggest or the, I think Naval Ravikant has said this nicely, that that's the most addictive thing, or salary is the most addictive thing after heroin. So, 30-day salary gives us a dopamine effect.
Correct.
Don't look at your salary bank balance every 30 days. Get into the habit of looking at every 3 years. I think life is sorted. Just one change. Look at your bank balance every 3 years. I think probably the answer will be in your favor.
Very hard to do.
Very hard to do.
Because entrepreneurs compromise on income. Expenses are every day. Expenses तो हर दिन से हम नहीं कर
तो
सकते.
पहले से ही लग के रख दो ना, जब कुछ स्टार्ट कर रहे हो. Create a pool. Get 20 lakhs there so that family should not suffer. Get 20 lakhs there, their life is sorted. You do your shit. Let's see in 3 years. Most likely you will be on the winning side. Most likely.
Amazing.
Unless you fuck up like me in my first venture.
No, I genuinely feel like you are right. Like failure, I wouldn't call it failure, but I think experiments that don't work lead to outcomes that work. Always. And GoKwik is a fantastic example. I think it's very early in the, like if you're building a 30-year view, it's still, you're only 2.5, 3 years in, right? But I think Ketchup and what Ketchup did, what Bombay Shaving Company did, has played into the formation of GoKwik in so many ways. And a lot of that is compounded, right? So, I think as we reach the twilight of this discussion, Chirag, I think this has been a truly fascinating conversation. Of course, we are very close friends and, we work together, and a lot of these things I would know, but to get into depth with cameras on us and, there's the conversation being more central, with the glass of alcohol, of course, has been a privilege. I think before we kind of draw the curtain on this, some thoughts on people who are looking at this conversation and saying, hey, I want to be entrepreneurial or an entrepreneur soon. I'm on the edge. And I think from this conversation, they've taken away experiments work, create a pool, be debt free, head down build, be frugal. There are 5-6 learnings just of this conversation, I think, which are important for someone building out first, right? And what works for you, what works for me, what works for the other person are maybe different because we're different people. But if you were to think about the 1 or 2 things that you would tell people on the edge, ki kare na kare, pata nahi kya hai, etc. What would that word of advice be to be founders who are watching this? They could be in college, they could be retired 60-year-old people who are looking for the next inning. It could be anyone. But what would your advice be?
I think we make, we make every decision look like a one-way door decision. Most decisions are not one-way. Example being, I'll tell you, and there is a way to convert one-way to a two-way door decision.
Well, the reversible versus irreversible. Okay.
And entrepreneur, I think people look at it that way, कि यार ये होगा, salary नहीं आएगी, मैं fail हो जाऊँगा. And we just make it so hard in our heads that, we start to worry about some of these negative things and don't even start.
Correct.
And family will say, यार कि तेरे पास तो अच्छी job है, क्या कर रहा है ये? I remember Rahul Chaudhary की conversation में, I think he was saying, क्या कर रहा है? मतलब it's good to be Aman Gupta, but हम भी कर लेंगे. But तू क्या कर रहा है? Ashish Grover, क्या कर रहा है मेरे भाई? So, and you should break the decision. For example, I spent my entire life in Delhi. Entire life. And then in a matter of 15 days, I decided to move to Bangalore. And my wife was like, ये क्या होता है? And the way at least I also thought about it is, and I have always in my life stayed in a owned house. Always. Never in a rented house. So imagine it's a big deal. Right? I'm not used to paying rents every month. So, and my wife and we decided that, okay, let's move in a rented house. Because it's a very easy decision. I gave her the comfort कि यार नहीं होगा तो 6 महीने में वापस आ जाएंगे, क्या दिक्कत है? Consequence क्या था? At that point of time I had a 8-year-old kid.
Correct.
We took an admission in Bangalore also and continued paying fees here also. So that if we have to come back, we have this door open. I made the decision reversible. I said it's okay, नहीं पसंद आया तो वापस आ जाएंगे. घर पे भी, और यहाँ पे जो घर था उसको भी रेंट पे नहीं दिया. Took that call that 6 months is going to be vacant. It's fine. If we decide to come back, then everything can come back in like 10 days. It gave my wife so much comfort that this is very easy decision to take. So I think in that way, from doing a new company or doing anything, I think we just make it too hard in our minds. That ये होगा तो वो होगा, or what will पड़ोसी क्या बोलेंगे, कि I think that is more in the heads. But otherwise, if you break the decision into make it two-way, it's very easy. For example, if you're doing a job, take a sabbatical, do it in parallel. Who stops you? Do it in parallel.
But लोग ऐसे वो MVPs, but लोग बोलते हैं कि safety net रखोगे तो you'll never give it your best shot. अगर दिल्ली में सब कुछ खुला है तो आप बैंगलोर में you'll always have one eye on.
I think it works both ways.
No, I agree. I'm on your side on this.
It works both ways. किसी के लिए वो काम करता है, किसी के लिए वो काम करता है. As long as you are able to sleep only 2 hours, survive. Because it's hard. Most likely you're going to fail. Most likely. So you have to get okay with it. The deal is that when you do an MVP, you have to try in 10 different ways. And ensure that, or maybe hope that one of them will stick, will solve the problem, etc., etc. Because getting to PMF is hard. Once PMF is there, then it works. So get into that mode. I think the answer should be that what are the 10 experiments which will give you confidence that one of them works, which enables you to leave your job and start this. And I think some of those answers can come from if you start to look at the space, how different industries have evolved. ऐसा नहीं है कि for all kind of things you have to do an MVP. Example being Indigo. Another insight wala thing that everyone in India fights on, or everyone in India says value है India में.
Correct.
Affordability बढ़ाना है. Indigo came up with this insight saying यार on time performance सब कुछ है. Right? And they build the entire company around on time performance. They are not value. They charge good bomb today. Or at least they are good, but they promise that we will get you off the flight at the promised time so that you don't miss your meeting. And nobody likes to travel with them, even if let's say we are, we like to go for meetings, etc. But even if somebody is going for a travel trip, nobody wants to go and wait at airports for 4 hours and then find out. It's harrowing experience.
Correct.
So you can draw the same insight, saying, people will always value on time, convenience things and apply it in your business. No need to do experiment there. Value तो चलता रहेगा, वहाँ से insight निकाल लो और वहाँ से कर लो.
Correct.
Some of the times, most of the times, the answer is available. We would want to do experiment just to convince ourselves. But otherwise, if you ask someone, तो बोलेगा कि यार क्या जरूरत है और लग तो रहा है तो छोड़ो फिर start कर लो.
That is true. I completely agree with you. And that's how I think also. For me, I make my mind very comfortable with worst case scenarios. Solve for them upfront. Yeah. And a lot of that are and we don't realize the degrees of freedom we have on these things. Like you create degrees of freedom with Kredaya School and the home in Delhi, while taking a home in Bangalore and saying, "Give us, we will operate with 2 homes for foreseeable future. So now mentally you can be free. Now you will give your best shot to make it work in Bangalore, in my view."
By the way, 3 महीने में ही आंसर आ गया था कि 3 महीने में शुद्ध बोला नहीं, we are good here.
Absolutely. And that's what you should do. Like you should keep feeding some of these things. Like a lot of founders, like I'm a big believer that founders at the 3, 4, 5 year point should create secondary safety nets that remove opportunity cost in the mind. कि मैं 5 साल में क्या कर सकता था, वो multiplied by 3. If your business is doing well, you have more capital than needed, create a safety net of liquidation for yourself. Because then your mind will be totally focused on creating value from that point onwards. Don't starve yourself, because that's then creating optionality for you, which is exactly what you're saying. I completely agree. I think founders should find ways to do that. To be founders and founders both.
And also what you said ki you should become okay with the worst case outcome. I think once you in your heart know कि यार इससे बुरा तो नहीं हो सकता कुछ.
Correct.
Then everything is, you know, upwards from there.
ये हुआ तो भी मैं खुश हूँ. That's it. ये हुआ तो भी मैं खुश हूँ. ये 4 चीजें और कर लेंगे बाद में. Okay.
It's a very, entrepreneurship that way is a very enlightening, spiritually enlightening experience. It teaches you a lot more, makes you humble on the way. Even if, you know, I'm a very aggressive guy, but it teaches you so much on the way.
But has age, fatherhood, experience of building for last 10 years, has it mellowed you down, or is that fire still, what did you say? Chirag. Your name has fire in it.
I think it's still, I would still say कि अभी तो है. Of course, you know, I've become more thoughtful about it, that where to use it, where to not.
David, what's that guy's name? David Goggins, the fitness guy. Like the guy was super overweight in the US Army and has now become the global, kind of thought leader on just mind over body control, right? He was saying that the fire always has to be burning, but the mind should know when to control it. So that you can project it in a direction which is most useful to you. That's when it goes from being fire to fuel. Because fuel is directional.
Very nicely put, I think. In terms of, yeah, I think, in fact, I remember we were generally having one conversations with few Go-Kwik people. And I was generally asking them, what makes you, you asked me कि किससे रात को नींद नहीं आती है. There are very few things in my life which will, not let me sleep. Otherwise, typically my routine is set. I will watch BarberShop like at 12 in the night for like 10-15 minutes. I'll doze off and then I'll continue. So, but otherwise very few things will keep me awake saying, yaar, iska mujhe tension hai. Because I'm okay with, yaar, this is okay. I am building long term. I know the worst case outcome. बनाते हैं ना? बनाते हैं. And it's very hard, and specifically for people who are used to closing all ends before sleeping, keeping their inbox to 0.
You are that kind of guy?
No.
Okay.
I have probably 10,000 emails which are unread.
Same.
So, in fact, I used to be on WhatsApp that kind of a guy कि सारे message read होने चाहिए. Now there also I'm used to it. That now I have many messages which are, a lot of people, keep coming to me कि यार WhatsApp पे आप online तो देखते हो reply नहीं करते. I tell them I don't treat WhatsApp as a medium where it's a async reply medium. It's not a, immediate reply medium. For example, I don't have read receipts on WhatsApp.
Same here.
Just because it's a two-way thing, right? Another, variable in life which you can't control.
Correct.
कि अब मैं ये देखूंगा, अच्छा अब शांतनु ने पढ़ लिया, मैंने मैसेज रिप्लाई नहीं कर रहा. तो it just solves.
Correct. I'm not
no notifications on my phone. No notifications. It's like somebody else the alarm is in somebody else's hand.
Correct. I love that you and I have been sitting here for 2-3 hours. Our phones are right here. We haven't touched it. No, I completely agree with you. I think the ability to just control your life that way. And you're right about the sleep thing. When my body hits the bed and my head hits the pillow, I'm out in 30 seconds. I'm out in 30 seconds. And I wake up, I go to sleep happy, I wake up happy. दुनिया में कितना भी स्ट्रेस हो, फंड रेजिंग का स्ट्रेस हो, बोर्ड मीटिंग खराब हुई हो, कस्टमर गाली दे रहा हो, जो भी हो, ये चीज
इंटरेस्टिंगली मैंने कहीं पे पढ़ा था या पता नहीं मैंने ही बोला था, मुझे याद नहीं है, पर कि फाउंडर इज अ ड्रीमर, बट ड्रीम करने के लिए उसको सोना जरूरी है. तो उसको 8 घंटे सोना जरूरी है. तो अगर फाउंडर को परेशान करोगे फॉर लाइक इंटरपर्सनल थिंग्स,
करेक्ट,
दैट्स नॉट डन.
करेक्ट.
दैट्स अ साइन ऑफ इमेच्योरिटी अबाउट द कंपनी. तो वो भी नहीं होना चाहिए. आई थिंक मोस्ट लाइकली जो है ना, मेरे को तो ऐसा लगता है मोस्ट लाइकली वी ड्रैग आवर सेल्स इन मोस्ट ऑफ दिस कॉन्वर्सेशन वी आर नॉट नीडेड.
करेक्ट, फुल्ली अग्री. आए तो इसलिए तो बार्बर शॉप यहाँ पे छोटा था, ऑफिस वहाँ पे.
करेक्ट.
But Chirag, it's been a pleasure. I think I'm a huge believer in what you're building. But more than that, I'm a huge cheerleader for you personally. I've learned so much. I'm always grateful to Revant for many things. But top of that list is introducing you to me so that we could get to know each other, become close friends, and be shareholders in each other's company. My deepest love to Shruti and Kriday, and to the larger team in GoKwik. You guys are building something very special, and I am very privileged to be part of it. But most of all, I think thank you for coming on BarberShop.
My pleasure, Shantanu. This is absolutely thrilling conversation.
I hope you had fun though.
Yeah. You just told me that it's 3 p.m.
Is it just 3?
2:51. So we have spent almost 3 hours talking.
I think we can spend 3 more.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain that if we go deep on each of the topics on Ketchupp, Bombay Shaving Company, Go-Kwik, entrepreneurship, or building for India, I think we can go deeper for 3 hours on each of them. But I think that's for another day. Thank you so much for coming, and it's been a privilege.
Thank you, Shantanu.
Sahi. Cool. बढ़िया. तो आपकी एक गिफ्ट है, I think. Do we have a gift? Yes.
अच्छा, वो कॉफी विद करने का.
Coffee with Karan nahi yaar. We're doing much better.
वैसे कर.
Do you have to show it to you guys? I think the camera cuts to this at this point. Here, आपके लिए. The razor will have your name and all that stuff.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, boss.